Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Well, we actually had to start on time for a change because we have a special guest with us tonight, Lorena Creel. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Comics, doing good. Glad to be here with you.
Awesome. I'm glad you can make it. I'm glad you saw the movie so we could actually talk about it.
Yeah.
That's like the tough thing, right? It's like, I know it came out on a Thursday and it's getting enough people on the panel who have actually seen the movie so we can actually discuss it. So, also, my stalker, Mad Mardigan, is here. How's it going?
Hi, how's it going? Doing good. You really enjoyed the movie. I watched you the whole time. I didn't even see the movie. I was just looking at you. I'm like, wow.
Dude,
you really like that.
And with me is my usual panelist, Culture Casino. How you doing, Culture?
Fantastic. I saw the movie. I want to talk about it. I want to hear what Lorena has to say about it. We don't get her for very long, so.
No, we don't. We only have Lorena for 30 minutes, so we'll let you start first. Spoiler free, folks. We're not talking spoilers.
Spoiler free. Well, first of all, I did. I enjoyed the movie. Of course, it's never going to be like the original Ghostbusters. That's not the intent. Definitely better than the second one. Lots of homage to things from the first movie, like literally how they place certain things. And maybe this is because I was in a theater with people who were fans of Ghostbusters, but literally things that you saw, people were just immediately picking up on it and making references to the previous movies. Even certain lines, again, no spoilers, lines that if you didn't know, you would expect them to say, but we're kind of like saying, don't say that. I'm not going to say how that ended, but that's kind of like, how it did. Egon's granddaughter. So I actually like that part because I could definitely identify with her. She was like the odd kid, out, hard to make friends. And this was in the trailer where mom said, don't be yourself.
Yeah, I thought that was funny as hell. When I heard the original casting, oh my God, Adam Crick was watching. What's up, Adam? I was very apprehensive when I saw the casting list. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, wow, this might actually be really good.
Yeah, it was really good. There really wasn't, I wouldn't say there was really a super weak performance out of any of the characters. The mom was cast really well. Paul Rudd was Paul Rudd. So, that was great. He was good. Even like the kid podcast, he was cast well.
I love him.
He was perfect, honestly.
He was my favorite character out of the whole movie.
He starts off a little bit annoying, but then you're like,
yeah, he warms up. He warms up pretty fast.
I know, but it's like I get it. I see who this is. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It was great. That was good too. Yeah.
Yeah. So the pacing, I thought in some places the pacing was a little slow, but necessary to the development of the plot. You've got like what, 2 hours? I think 2 hours, 15 minutes or something like that.
It could have benefited, in my opinion, from an extra 30 minutes. I don't say that about a lot of movies, but there's some stuff that, and I'll talk about a little later, that I wish they went into more, specifically around Shandor, which is, if you watch the original Ghostbusters, you should know who Shandor is.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what I picked it up in the original trailer when I broke down the trailer. And I was like, Shandor Mining Company. Okay, you guys know about Ivo Shandor, right? And you kind of made that. But I agree. It would have benefited for some more time. But I think that's what's going to come in the quote unquote director's cut, probably.
Possibly.
But look, according to Tom, and again, I mean, I had the benefit of talking with some other people, recently, and I think that he's right. I think there's a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor because he had so much time
I'd have to
edit it. Yeah.
The thing is, I like the way they tied everything back to the original story. I thought that was really well done. I wouldn't say you have the Easter eggs like the Twinkie, but
No spoilers.
The
No
book,
spoilers, guys.
yeah.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. But we're talking about that's more homage than anything else.
And you honestly, if you've seen the trailer, if you've seen any of the trailers or even the teaser trailer, nothing we're talking about is going to be a spoiler because it was all in those trailers.
Yeah, actually, everything was like all,
Spoiler: Egon's dead. That was in the trailer.
Yeah.
We already figured that out. The way they set that up, I thought was executed very well.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I was not expecting. The opening is full burn, blows your mind.
There are things that I'll be honest with you.
Wow.
I found to be predictable. I knew what was going to happen at the end.
Well,
and I'm not going to talk about. I'll talk about my spoiler review, but I won't talk about it tonight, folks.
Okay. I was going to say, I kind of agree with you with that because pretty much I want to say within the first, maybe first 10 minutes, then I could kind of figure out, okay, I think we know what's going on here, especially given how long they hung on to the second part of the title of this movie. That was pretty much.
But beyond that, Lorena, I think you would agree that, like I said, that first scene sets it up perfectly, like the first film. There's like a level of intensity, and so be prepared for that, guys. And this is not a spoiler. You will be surprised a couple of times in the film. You will be, and I don't think it had as dark a tone as the first film did.
It didn't. I thought that it was more balanced then, because like you had 2016 and that was like, oh, we're gonna do a laugh every minute or a joke every minute. I mean, none of them landed, but that's what I mean. It was just silliness turned up to 10. And with this one, all of the laughs, and there were some really good laughs. Not all of them landed, but there were some really great ones, especially from the what's her? I don't even know her name. The main girl.
Phoebe.
Phoebe?
Yeah, McKenna Grace. Yeah, she was fantastic.
I loved her in this.
Awesome.
She was definitely well cast, and I mean, and again, this is from the trailer. She's basically little female Egon. She's obviously Egon's granddaughter.
Yes,
and that is really well done. That her acting is pretty on point.
She has like Egon's mannerisms.
She
down.
does.
That's what nailed
was great.
it.
And there's a couple of runners that she has that she does throughout the movie. It just made me laugh every time.
She has special moments. I think, Matt. I think you're right. I mean, she carries at certain points. She carries the film, which is amazing. Because at the time, I think she's 15 years old when she made this film, something like that.
Sure.
I guess. I mean, I know that she's 12 in the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's just
the brother's 15.
Yeah,
I could have done without his entire thing. I did not. I felt like he was just there to drive the car.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of. I can't really say whether his character really added anything to the movie. I think that she definitely needs someone to play off of. But part of it is that what they should have done with him is made him be more the cool kid. But he in his own way is kind of awkward, right? Because he meets the girl. Lucky, and he's kind of awkward too, and I don't think it necessarily works with the two kind of like awkward in different way kind of characters.
No, because it's more kind of like, I don't want to say overkill, but kind of there isn't a balance, because usually with siblings you have one who's really reserved, one who's kind of in the middle and all over the place, and one who's like the straight person.
Absolutely. And I think like back in the day, what you would see like the movie with Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon when they went into like the TV land or whatever. Remember?
Oh yeah, that was a great movie. I mean, that was a great movie.
Was that it?
The
Pleasantville, that was it, right?
Pleasantville, yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Pleasantville.
Yeah.
So like he was the straight-laced guy and she was the uber popular. Like and it feels like this movie was written with kind of that the bones of that kind of a movie, you know what I mean, where you have like the nerdy kid, the guy he's a nerd, and then the sister's super popular and gets dragged along. Like, I mean, think of any of those movies, Goonies, any of them, you know what I mean? That's normally how it's set up, but in this it's reversed, which didn't bother me at all because she did such a great job as the I don't know. Like, but I thought he's hard to look at. Look, I don't mean it, offense, but he's man, it's rough to look at.
You're not wrong.
I kind of feel like the reason why they had him is because he was in
Stranger Things.
Yeah. And so he was kind of popular at the time, and also he dressed up as the Ghostbusters in the show.
Yep. But let me say it this way. Yeah, Lorena, look, I thought that he was fine. I know what you're talking about with siblings, because believe me, got some. But but at the same time, I felt like maybe mom kind of was another part of that sibling circumstance, because she was being an adult parent because she was forced to. I think. I mean, there was a lot of depth to these characters in the short period of time we got to. But I couldn't believe how quickly they did some of the development. And they played into some stereotypes that were non-offensive. And I appreciated that, more like not even that, maybe archetypes, right? Like you're
I think it'd be more like your archetypes, like you have, your teacher who's not doing what he thought he would be doing, which his method of teaching, I gotta say, was cool yet scary at the same time.
Yeah, loved it. I loved all the little bits from his class. I'm like, oh, that's so good,
hilarious.
Okay. The movie to me, sorry, I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's going to be Stranger Things, but with, something else. To me, it felt far more like Super 8 than it did Stranger Things.
I was going to say, it kind of felt like a little bit like Goonies to me, a little bit.
Just a little bit. Especially with the kids. And I have to say, I mean, some people don't like the kids in the movie. I did, because no spoiler, just to see what the kids were doing and the parallels with the original movie with respect to roles. And there's an action montage sequence in there. I got to give them props for how that was shot, because that was shot damn near close to perfect.
It was. That moment that you're describing will give you that. What do you call that? Member berry, right? That is like it, maybe that's what people are. Isn't that what people might be calling fan service, right? Because there are definitely some, but I
wouldn't call fan service, because a lot of it, and I want to talk about some of the reviews in a little bit once Lorena's done. But I would say it's more respecting the material and the canon than anything else.
I would have to agree, especially with the way that they integrated that. If they didn't insult you with it. I mean, there were parts that you had to look and see and put things together. For example, we'll just say there's one part where they walk into the house. If you've seen the original Ghostbusters movie, you will pick up on something right away. And I guarantee you, people in the audience will say the same exact line, and they will say it out loud. And if you've never seen it before, you would never figure it out. But just the fact that how that's placed, how Phoebe uses the PK meter.
Oh yeah.
How she uses that.
I feel like she had the natural intuition, in the natural sense that Egon did, right? Like I said, she played so well into being that character, clearly his granddaughter, it's amazing. And again, it's weird when you have a young person like that carrying scenes. I mean, it was so she did.
She's got some acting chops, that's for sure.
She really
does. She really does.
Even down to where her glasses would ride low.
Yes.
I really noticed it when they were in the classroom.
Well, the thing I thought was pretty cool is when she picked him up and she put Egon's glasses up to hers, and they were basically exactly the same shape. Yeah.
I know that this one happened, but like for me, as soon as anything spooky happened in that house, I'm not gonna say exactly what, I would have burnt it to the ground. I don't know what is. I get it. You couldn't do that.
Theater, we're saying get out.
Get out. Oh, by the way, we also had in our showing, there was even a little girl. See, it was like 4 or 5 years old, dressed like the marshmallow puff.
Oh, the Stay Puft marshmallow.
She was adorable.
Oh, I love that.
But
it was so freaking funny.
Isn't that weird though? I mean, and again, I mean, this I think I said this in the spoiler free review. This is more aimed for a slightly younger audience than the original Ghostbusters film was.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. That's the reason why it's not as dark.
Yeah,
I
and I
agree with that.
I think like 14 would be my guess. Like that 14-year-old.
I don't know, but I mean, I saw it as a kid too. You know, I mean, it was 84.
Well,
so
I
was 10.
I would agree with you, Culture, because it's more of like, I want to say, like kind of like arachnophobia.
Coming of age.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
Gremlins, they pushed the envelope with that one. Like they were like, no, don't do a PG-13.
You know, I guess the attitude is that kids could handle more darker material. You know, back in the 80s, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I saw as a kid.
Yeah.
That wouldn't fly now as a PG movie like Temple of Doom.
He rips the heart out. Yeah. Like, I used to chase my sister around going, you know, like,
although I will say in this movie, there's actually pretty dark part where I'm like, damn, they went there. Oh, okay.
Okay, so you said something about pacing, and I had the same reaction that you did, Lorena. There was some parts that kind of were a little slower than they should have been. Yeah, you know, and I've heard some criticism around their ability to use the proton accelerators and stuff, and I'm thinking you must have missed the scene that was kind of drawn out, like before.
I think they went into great detail to to explain it, not to just like, and so, training. Through the translational, properties because of her grandfather, she knows how to use it.
They actually did some explanation because she does a repair on one of the proton packs. Right. And basically her grandfather tells her how to fix it.
Pretty much, from how
I appreciated
how they did it and how they didn't. Oh, so it's this way, they didn't tell.
Yeah, they showed.
To show, and
on top of that too is that I could see some people making criticism, like, "Oh, she's a Mary Sue." She's not. I mean, because I don't think so at all. Because she does have flaws. I mean, she's an awkward, nerdy kid that doesn't make friends,
and she does fail.
And she does fail.
She would have caught that ghost on the first track.
Yeah.
But there's also these other. There were. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. There were a couple of moments that you're gonna go, was that intersectional?
Yeah.
Okay. And it is. But if you go in there with the mind open, and you're not looking for those ghosts, pun intended, then you're not gonna see them. It's gonna naturally flow within the story. But for the most part, I don't know. Lorena, do you know what I'm talking about, or am I talking out of my hat?
I would say some of them you will pick up on them just because
it's current year
things. Because we're hypersensitive to it. Like if let's say a part where the female character is leaving a certain male character, you're kind of like, okay, great. This is just what they want to do. That's not necessarily the case, and they're banging you in the head with that, in the story. That's not it. But you can be hypersensitive to it just because that's what we're used to being force fed. It's
one of those things I say. If the movie came out like 10 years ago, we wouldn't notice.
Right.
Yeah.
If 2016 hadn't happened, we wouldn't know.
I think, like, I believe the ghost more than I believe Lucky having any interest in that kid. Is that just me?
I think that was one of the awkward moments of the show. Is that
there was one that was even more awkward. Was it the refrigerator scene?
Oh,
where you remember refrigerator scene?
He's kind of cold. Oh,
borrow my jacket.
Oh yeah. Sorry, that scene. Yeah. That was definitely one of those moments where it's like
everything I could not to just go, I'm going to hate this film right then. But then again, I'm thinking, okay, he's getting. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying I will not spoil it.
That part just had me in tears.
I thought it was great
because it was awkward as heck.
Yeah,
but it's one of those teenage awkward things that would actually happen.
That happened. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing too is when she goes, "It's my boyfriend's."
I loved it. Yeah.
Stop giving away the film. It's so good.
We're not ruining anything, dude.
If they remember that, if they're in the theater, be like, wait a minute, comics said this. They're not going to remember that. But even when she was like, hey, can you hold this for me? You know what I mean? It made me. I thought I was like, oh, that was really clever. I like that. her character has not came off clever to me at all, but this part did. You know what I mean? And her voice was really deep. Maybe that was just something.
It was interesting.
What?
It made me look twice. I'm like, wait a minute, did they sneak someone in here? Like her voice was deep. Sorry, I'm being honest. When I heard her voice, and it just made me think like I felt like I would have seen this in the casting already if they.
In a previous life, you must have dated somebody like Kathleen Turner or something. It's making you hypersensitive to that.
So Cold Air is asking me, did I like this movie or Dune more? I actually like Dune more.
Yeah, I agree.
I like
They're
this
on
one
different
more.
planes.
I didn't. Dune was okay. I wasn't excited for it, but I'm a David Lynch purist, so I have my issues with it. But Dune was great to watch. Don't get me wrong. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
I'm on my 5th viewing of Dune.
Dune is I really like it. I mean, I like the Lynch movie too. Don't get me wrong. Audiences, I mean, if you've taken a look at Rotten Tomatoes so far, are really liking the movie. So are the critics. It's not certified fresh, even though it's funny watching people post the things of, oh look, Ghostbusters 2016 is fresh, where this one's in trouble. It's like, no, it's not. It's gonna be better. It's a better movie, hands down. I can tell you this, not watching the 2016 movie, just knowing what I know about the movie.
Never seen it.
In my opinion, it's okay. Its heart is definitely in the right place. It is definitely made by somebody who obviously cares about the source material. I do think there's something lacking. I can't quite put my finger on it though, but it is missing something in my opinion. I did like it though. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, Ghostbusters 2016, the only reason I watched that movie was because we had to do something on Toxic Femme about it, and that was probably 2 hours of my life I will never get back. I didn't laugh. I think I didn't laugh till 45 minutes into the movie, and it was something stupid. I'm like, is this supposed to be? I don't know what the heck this is supposed to be, but it was basically a waste of time. So this was like the perfect palate cleanser because they basically retconned that movie freaking out of
it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Yeah, it is relegated to porn parody at this point. But look, I really honestly I think this film's worth going to the theater to see. So, I mean, I've seen some comments in the chat that I want to address.
Tillium is saying, so why waste my time going to the cinema to see it? I would go see it. You know, I don't think it's a waste of your time. I really don't.
I don't either. This was the first movie I've seen at a theater since Rise of Skywalker. And like my whole pitch to the girlfriend was like, I don't want to die and that be the last thing I've seen at a theater. That'd be embarrassing. How do I explain that to Peter, you know, at the gate? I don't know if that would be one of his questions, but my girlfriend on the way home, she was like, my girlfriend on the way home, she was like, no, it was worth the risk of the vid to go see.
So Sky Commander says, just came back from seeing Afterlife and I loved it. If I have anything to complain about, it's how minimal the original cast screen time was.
You know, that's a good point. Okay. I'm gonna this is not a spoiler. There might be more films coming.
Yeah.
So if it gets big support.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Sorry. Tillium was referring to Shang-Chi. Sorry, did I miss that?
Oh, I misunderstood too. Okay. All right. I get you.
I did see that. I fell on that grenade and went during. Well, I liked Kung Fu movies, so that's kind of.
I made it 15 minutes into that movie.
I thought it was a great amalgamation of 7 to 12 better movies.
That's exactly it, because I'm like, where have I seen this movie before? Where have I seen this Kung Fu? That's Rumble in the Bronx. That's Romeo Must Die, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Enter the Dragon.
Ooh, Romeo Must Die. That's a good pull.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, dude, the beginning is Crouching Tiger. The first opening introduction scene is Crouch. I'm like, I've seen this film.
We're not here to talk about Shang-Chi, buddy.
No, I'm sorry.
We're here to talk about Ghostbusters.
The CGI. The CGI with the bus fight was so horrible. Like I turned it off after that. I'm like, I'm good. I get it. Anyway, but Afterlife.
But Afterlife, another scene that I liked, and no spoilers, but let's just say there's a certain game,
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, if they go this route,
yeah,
this is going to be cool.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
went that route
Yeah,
with it. And the reason it was so cool is because of how intellectual it was. Who would think to pick that particular game? And there's a reason behind that.
It was again. There, you are led down a beautiful path. Again, the small pacing issues aside, this was a show don't tell film. 1000%.
Absolutely.
So you will see story as opposed to being given exposition blast after exposition.
Absolutely.
Blast after exposition.
I thought they did a great job establishing the mom and like some of her issues. Like it didn't feel like, well, mom, when you were 14, you did this. Like who talks like that? But no, like with this movie, that was very natural. Like her character traits came out. You know what I mean? It felt in the moment that is how it would be approached, rather than it being forced with a backstory that she would have already known.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing too that I would say, and this is honestly probably my biggest problem with the movie, is it does rely on the bad dad trope a lot, which I wasn't too happy about.
I don't agree with you.
I understand why they did it.
Right.
And a lot of it too is because this is the problem when you do any kind of sequel and there's already like nothing that kind of like sets up for that sequel. For example, Egon having a family, obviously that was never established in the original movies. Yes.
He's got a beautiful soul.
Okay. Sorry.
What's up, George? I know because we have such short time with Raina. I'll hit the super chats after she departs. But yeah, I understand why they did it. Because you have to establish the fact that Egon had a family, but you've never seen them. And so, again, it's just, and again, I don't want to go into spoilers. I'll reserve that criticism for when I actually do my spoiler review. Yeah. But it was something. It's a trope in Hollywood that dads are bad, and you kind of have that in this movie. And like I said, it's definitely a problem.
Yes,
but
I can't really go ahead, Coulter.
I disagree with you. It's okay. I mean, it's just when I do my spoiler review, which I'll probably do live on a stream sometime. But honestly, I don't agree with you. I think that this wasn't the current modern audience approach to that trope.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
And
it's a trope that has been used quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
I think we're just hypersensitive to the overuse of that trope, because even from the beginning, it's just like, what would happen to make Egon take such an extreme step? And I didn't believe that he just, totally abandoned his family. Mm-hmm. So if you were going to have good writing, you were going to have a redemption of all of that at the end, which I think emotionally played out beautifully. At the end, the reconciliation of why were you gone for so long? It didn't seem like you cared, what I was doing in my life. So that was a good reconciliation. But I think, like you're saying, Comics Division, because there's been just such a rash of just bad father trope movies in Hollywood that we're super hypersensitive to that, and we'll kind of like pick up on that. So it was definitely good that at the end of this, I'm glad that they redeemed that whole arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you kind of feel it coming for the most part, but
yeah, it's something I knew they were going to do, right? Because you kind of have to, because it's Egon, right? Unless you just want to shun the character, which I didn't think he was going to do.
Do, re, Egon.
I loved the interactions with I thought all the characters worked very well together. Paul Rudd with anybody was great and hilarious. him and the mom, because I love that whole scene. With them going back and forth. Yeah.
At dinner.
Yeah, and about the pole and all that. Yeah.
Oh God, that was fucking.
That was
hilarious.
funny.
Here, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it one more time. Did I say this already? They didn't use enough Paul Rudd. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
I would have to agree with you on that. I thought that they were going to have much more of him.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, that's a Gundam is here. Holy shit.
Well, it's a Gungan.
Oh, it's a Gungan. Okay.
Yeah,
I misread that.
Oh,
It's like, what the fuck is it's a Gundam doing on my screen, my chat?
I almost
That's not
started
right.
fangirling out. I'm like,
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like his stuff a lot. Actually, I like it.
Yeah, his content's fucking
he's
great.
Oh, he
yeah.
kills me.
I'm sure it's a Gungdan is okay too.
Gungan, it's a Star Wars species, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks, nerd. Nope.
Thanks, nerd.
Sorry. Anyway, but that kid was too skinny though, right?
Which one? The brother?
The Stranger Things one, yeah.
Oh, the Stranger Things
skinny.
kid? He's kind of skinny.
He was.
So skinny.
They could have cast someone who was a little less awkward, I thought.
Well, like we talked about, like having him be like the brother in the Goonies, right? Like the jock and just, I feel like that maybe that was what you were missing. Comics was just that because he kind of he just went along with everybody goes along with it so easily, and because inside of me I'm like, burn it all down. Why are y'all letting this happen? I mean, if they want to haunt things, let them. Well, yeah, but
that's the thing. It's just like, well, it wouldn't be a story if they didn't,
Yeah.
burn all down or like leave, or
I know that. I mean, that's kind of the the goofy thing with movies, right? It's like if people did the thing that was actually what they should have done, we wouldn't have a movie.
Yeah, like don't go down there and take that trap out.
Yeah.
They could.
Let's run to the car and drive away.
Well, hold on. I'm going to push back on this. I don't know why, but I think they could. I think like if they would have started and some ghost things happened in the house and they burnt it down, they would realize, oh wait, that did not get rid of the ghosts. They're still around, and then the story could progress. I'm just saying, it is possible.
Too.
There was like this one commercial I thought was really funny where it's like it's like these kids being in a horror movie or teenagers, and they're like, let's go run and hide in the shed, and then like the one girl's like, let's go in the car, the keys are in the ignition and it started. No, we're gonna go hide in the shed.
Crazy? That's crazy talk.
Yeah, I know. That commercial is fucking funny. But that's the whole thing with movies, right? It's like if people made smarter decisions, we wouldn't have a movie. Especially horror movies.
Oh God, yeah.
Those are the worst to watch when you're you have common sense and like no, don't run there. Why? Like I've always said this. Look, I embrace my whiteness and I avoid things that get us killed. I don't check out strange noises at night. I don't hang out in the woods.
Nope.
I don't approach animals I don't know, regardless of how cute they are. I'm not going to try to go pet them.
If I see lights coming on by themselves and I did nothing to it, I'm sorry. I'm not hanging around there.
Yeah. I almost burnt my last house I lived in. I almost burnt it to the ground because of a raccoon. I didn't know it was a raccoon. I thought it was a ghost. But like I was in the shower and it was in the wall. No, I was in the shower.
Well, the funny thing is I didn't realize that raccoon could talk.
It was in the wall and it hit the pipe and the whole like shower head came right out at me.
Oh, Jesus.
I was like, no, I turned off the water. And this was the day after, like the night before, I heard something in the attic. It was like a penny scratching on the floor, and I set up in the bed and I was like, listen, I will burn this motherfucker to the ground if you mess with me. You'll be haunting a pile of rubble. Anyway, so then
I gotta show my dog real quick because he has a sweater on and he looks so fucking cute. Come on, get up here. Get up here. Come on. Come on, just stop. Come on, Chug, get up here. Come on.
I just don't want to.
Come on. Oh, Jesus Christ. Get up here.
You gotta go get
There we go. He's wearing a sweater. He doesn't have a lot of fur on. Of course, he just blends into me right now. But if anyone's seen my dog, he's completely brown. But yeah, he has his little sweater on because it's cold. And yeah, he looks stinking cute in that thing. Goofball.
Too cute.
Anyway, I know you got to bail. I don't know how much time you have, but do you want to give like kind of like your overall rating?
10 more minutes. Let's see, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it I'd say about an 8.
Nate?
About an
All right.
8, probably like a half a point more so because this was a movie that I could actually just freaking enjoy, and I wasn't being preached to.
Oh God, that's the best part, right?
And there was, respect for the source material, that was going on. So, that's what I would give it. It was a joy to sit down and just watch. And that's the thing. You want to go to be entertained, and that's basically what this movie did.
I feel like
And
that's
retcon Ghostbusters 2016 out of existence.
I mean,
basically put Walmart as the coolest place to shop now.
Yeah, I
one of the
mean, there's
nicest
there's
Walmarts
like
I've ever seen.
a lot of product placement in this one.
What?
Walmart.
Well, somebody said, "No, they still make that? I didn't even know they made that anymore."
Baskin and Robbins.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so absurd to me. Was
Roomba.
just 2 big freezers full of the same product. Like that's not how grocery stores work.
At least not Walmart. Shoot, you
Mm-mm.
see some couple holes in there, or people like grab most of them.
Different kinds of ice cream.
What they didn't have in that Walmart, especially at that time of night, because that's honestly when the crazies come out to Walmart.
Yeah,
Is someone who's like 250, 300 pounds wearing like a top that is like 5 sizes too small.
Mm-hmm.
Not one mullet.
Scooter.
Not
Yeah.
one mullet in that whole store.
Not one mullet, not one rascal scooter.
No scooter.
Yeah,
it
dude.
felt like there was only 3 people there, anyways. Like,
And
Well,
no
I mean, it was late
cashier.
enough at night that you could get away with having like not
Yeah.
a whole lot of people, but people at Walmart, the website exists for a reason, and typically those people come out at night.
That was cheap entertainment when I was in college. You go to Walmart like around midnight,
Mm-hmm.
see all kinds of crazy,
Especially in
stuff there.
small towns.
Oh, yeah.
Denton, Texas, man. When I was hanging out with some friends up there,
Denton.
we saw some shit at the Walmart in Denton. Holy shit.
People think you're making this stuff up. It's like, I wish I was, but no.
No.
Yeah.
Plano is another bizarrest circus location in the world. I'm just saying.
Plano is what's the best way for me to describe Plano? Plano is a suburb in Dallas. And basically, if you've ever wanted to see a corporate fiefdom or what a corporate fiefdom would look like, that's basically Plano, because you have like the giant corporate headquarters for several corporations there. One of them was Ross Perot's, and then you have like suburbs surrounding them, and it reminded me of like a like the church and a castle surrounded by the the village. That's what it's kind of like. It's modern day
It's weird,
corporate
man.
feudalism.
It's very weird there. I'm just gonna say that is very strange.
Because they literally ripped up all the trees. At least the times when I was there, they basically went and bulldozed everything flat and redid everything and planted new trees. It's just like, that looks terrible. Anyway, enough about Plano.
I was going to say, it's kind of like Palatka, Florida. No one knows where the heck that is. It's a rest stop on the way to University of Florida in Alachua County, and has the weirdest Walmart ever. And I can't wait to go back to visit next week, actually.
So is there like a 20 people there, and between all of them, they have like 5 teeth?
Dang.
Some of them, yeah. Yeah, some of them that are, shopping with a full solid color suit on, makes them look like a pimp. It's, oh God, it's crazy. People with wearing clothes that are way too small for them, but you can't tell them anything because they think they're cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole parking lot is a dog park, but
I always wanted a pimp hat.
Oh, Walmart sells those.
I don't know if
At
you can
least
pull
one
it
of
off, though.
Palatka
I don't think so either.
does.
Because if I get a pimp hat, then I'm gonna have to get the pimp cane, and then I'm gonna have to get a fur coat.
Yes, you must
This
have
is a
the
whole
fur coat.
thing.
Then
Looking
you
like
need to
slick.
get
And the
platform
shoes.
shoes with goldfish in them.
Fishing.
You know,
I
this
would
is-
probably base mine on Slick Rick.
This is the hat you need, dude. This is the only hat you need.
It's back there on Mr. Orangeburg.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's over there.
But I really had a good time watching this movie. I didn't feel like my money was, flushed down a toilet. I enjoyed it. There were a couple parts, like I said, some parts of the movie where I felt the pacing was kind of off. But for the most part, it was enjoyable, and I really liked going, and I really liked just enjoying a film that was written with the spirit of paying tribute to the first movie. So overall, I liked it.
I agree.
I'm trying to be careful. I don't want to.
I know it's hard to talk about this movie without getting into like heavy spoilers.
Well, because it does remind me of another movie that was a sequel. Did anybody else feel like it was The Force Awakens, kind of like?
Yeah. Okay. That was one thing I was going to say is that when it comes to doing like a passing of the torch kind of movie, this obviously paid a lot more respect to the original. And so, like, yes, if you want to compare it to The Force Awakens, you could say there's a lot of similarities between The Force Awakens and this movie in certain respects. One thing is without part of the problems, I want to say something, and I don't know if it necessarily gets in spoiler territories. I will say this. There are a lot of similar beats between this movie and Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hands down.
I think that this movie succeeds where Force Awakens fails.
Yes.
Whereas that was kind of taking a crap on everything that came before it in a lot of ways. But like hiding it with enough nostalgia to keep you like from really seeing it into The Last Jedi. But I feel like this one succeeded in both like respecting and also like moving on as well.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, Matt. It was unilateral in that way, that it went out of its way to pay homage to the greatness of the first and even a little bit to the second film. Guys, there are so many flipping nuggets in there, so many callbacks. They season those puppies everywhere. If you pay attention, I mean, Lorena talked about it earlier, but I mean, it's like back to back to back. I mean, like there's little elements here and there throughout in the background. Sometimes they're not like plain to see. Sometimes they're just there, moments that are the same. You are going to get a lot of flashbacks to the other two films. I'm going to say it that way, to the other two films, and even the video game.
And okay, so for people are asking, like, is it Cold Air is saying, so the ghosts have a giant Nazi planet that blows up more planets? No, nothing
I'm
like
not
that.
giving anything away.
Yeah.
I'm going to say
Dan says I am not going to see it till Wednesday, so I can take my daughter who doesn't live with me. So no spoilers. I'm not gonna say that. And crap, not The Force Awakens. No, nothing like that. Okay, it's not like
opposite.
No,
it's definitely a better movie.
Yeah, they really took care with how they weaved like the next generation in with the stuff from the first movie. Like there were some upgrades that I saw that I'm like, oh wow, that was cool.
I'm going to tell you this: the CGI that's in this is great. The physical stuff is amazing. They spent time. They spent time. Really. They spent time making things that the actors could interact with. This was a realistic film, while being completely suspend disbelief that ghosts are around. You know what I mean? Like in that
I
way.
loved the town. I hated it that it was in Oklahoma because that place is not worth a movie being filmed in.
I like the fact that they didn't have it in New York.
Yes, and the small town had that feel of like Tremors, but a little bit bigger.
It did, yeah. Because if you've ever been to a small town, it's like everyone knows everybody.
It felt very. Yeah,
Americana.
It's that. Yeah, that's it. That's the right word. Yeah, it's Americana. It's the small town.
It's even down to the car. I don't want to call it the car hop, but where they bring out your food and they're on
the non-Sonic Sonic.
The non-Sonic.
Exactly.
It's a diner, guys. It's a diner.
Yeah, but Oh, I also loved all the music that they were playing in the cars, like the El Camino
my
and the
God.
80s F-150, maybe
mullet
250. I didn't see.
car.
Oh, it's so good, and the music went with it. Everything felt like it was from a different time. That whole town, no cell
did.
phones, nothing like that. Kids had to go out and find trouble, which was very easily.
It's like every relative I got in Iowa and Missouri. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm like, oh crap! You know, I just transported to their little town. You know, and it's so well done. And I'm gonna say something weird because I haven't been able to say this in a while. The score and the soundtrack were brilliant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's part of the, I don't want to call it memorabilia, but part of the fan service is there's music from the first movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether they remastered it or what, but
for
it,
sure.
it's dropped in at the, at the perfect spots. But one last thing before I go, there's a scene at the end, which is one of the best callbacks to the original that I saw.
It's unbelievable.
And it's freaking perfect. And I love how they did it. It's the best, really.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, guys. You have to stay through the credits. This is another time.
Yes, you do. And it's
all the way to the end because
it's what?
There are two payoffs.
there's
there.
I knew I should stay to the end. I saw the one that they did, the first one, but I didn't catch the second one.
They're both up on YouTube now. But
Really?
I'm gonna have to
I
check them
tried,
out.
but shoot, I had to go to the bathroom.
everybody,
I did too. I was like, should I stay? I was like, fuck, I'll be the only one in the theater, and I really have to piss.
They said they had one where where they're rolling the cast, and then they got to one that was like, well, where was that person? And that's the first one. The first.
I'm not saying a word. I'm saying there are no
The
words.
easiest thing to say is that,
is.
with the exception of I think one character, everybody gets a cameo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
Don't
Like
think about that.
that's not really.
But guys, I gotta go.
Oh.
I gotta go.
Would
But,
you like to
Bye,
plug your
Lorraine.
channel?
Yes, everybody. Hello, I'm Lorena Creole. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. And of course, you can find me on YouTube. And tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern, I will have a non-spoiler lunch table show talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. So please do check that out if you get a chance. And please subscribe to me, and also, hey, subscribe to everybody on the panel. And thanks so much, Comics, for having me on. I'm glad I saw your message. I was literally on the way out of the theater when I saw it. So,
well, because I saw your tweet how you said you saw it. I'm like, okay, it's like I want to try and get as many people on as possible who have seen it, so we can talk about it. But yeah, obviously, I want to keep it spoiler free. This isn't a shitty movie that we're like, fuck it, who cares? Because I want to encourage people to go see it.
Yeah,
and I want people to come to their own conclusions. I'll be working on probably a review tomorrow, since I took the day off tomorrow in preparation for the week of Thanksgiving, and I figured that tomorrow would be a good time to start working on that review to get it out.
Crap. I need to de-thaw 2 turkeys, and I gotta
Throw them in the pool.
No.
Yeah, throw it in the pool.
What you gotta do, Culture, is get a big vat of oil, heat it up, and just dunk that sucker in. Don't do that, guys. It will explode.
That's what my uncle is going to deep fry turkey on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, don't deep fry a cold turkey because it will fucking explode.
It explodes and makes fire. It is not good.
It's not good. It's not good. Well, I gotta go. George is here.
Hello.
Hi again.
What leaves and another one shows up.
Yep. So everybody take care again, Comics. Thanks so much for having me on. See you later, Culture. See you later, man.
Bye,
See you
sweetheart.
later,
Bye.
Joe. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
And because George is here,
Thank you, Culture.
Yeah, we'll get you on soon, Dalton. Let me get through these super chats first. The main thing I want to make sure you know: spoiler free.
Yeah, no
gotta keep it
spoilers.
spoiler free.
No spoilers.
Spoiler free.
Yeah.
How do they
All
tell
right,
the
Lonnie Holcomb for $5. Well, kids, let's see if you lose your shit all over Ghostbusters Afterlife, like Midnight's Edge is doing right now. I would say I lost my shit. I liked it
In a good way or a bad way?
I think they lost their shit in a good way.
Oh.
J.A.F.O
really?
for $1.99. Dix Division assemble.
I guess it must be one of the rare people that didn't like the whole thing.
Oh, George. I understand.
'Cause I thought I was listening to you. Y'all sound like you liked it.
I mean, for the most part, I liked it. I think it's okay. You know, it's not the best movie I've seen. I think it definitely pays its respects to the source material, which is good.
It did.
But overall, I thought it was okay. I walked out thinking something was missing.
Yeah, see, I had only 2 problems with it. You want to read the super chats?
Yeah, let me get through these and we'll start talking about it again. Vigilant Renegade for $19.99. Walking into Ghostbusters now.
Dude,
have more tickets for tomorrow. Hail Comics, Lorena, Mad, and Culture.
I love how you murder his name every time.
Valiant, god damn it. Every single fucking time. I was like, hey, guys are laughing. It's like, I must have fucked the name up again because I'm a dumbass. Stone Cold Jeremy for $5. Hail Comics, the panel. Hail to the chat. Hope everyone is having a great week. Cheers and beers. And for some reason, it's weird. It's kind of greening it out. Let me get to the next one. And we're walking. And we're scrolling. Okay, here we go. Mr. Grant Gregory for $5 Australian dollars, also known as didgeridoo dollars. Hail panel, looking great. Special thanks to Mads for coming on my show. Looking forward to all to come on. Hail Dix Division.
Yeah, had a great time over there. It was quick, 45-minute interview. I got to be myself rather than Mad Mardigan. So we talked about time travel, the multiverse, Jesus,
and
all the good things.
And you know this how? All this information?
Because I read.
Oh.
Come on.
Oh, don't lie. You don't read.
I'm capable of it. They make it in pop-ups.
Ah, okay. The 3D pop-ups or just the regular?
Yeah.
Salty Texas Sea for $4.99. Just some cheddar for the straight talk. Hail. Thank you, sir. And we're scrolling. I'm so glad that they actually keep the buffer now with these. M-Tac Shark for $1.49 with a super sticker. That is a box of popcorn. And of course, now that George is here, George Molo for $49.99. All hail Lord Farquaad and the amazing panel of Comics Division wonders. Well, thank you, sir. Now that you're here, I can thank you personally.
Thank you, Coach.
He's got a beautiful soul.
He does.
Thank you, Coach.
He does. Oh, every time, man. Every time.
It's a Gungan for $4.99, not to be confused with It's a Gundam like I did earlier. $4.99 because I'm not as rich as George. No problems.
No. Oh man, yeah. So great. I love that avatar too. That's brilliantly done.
Yeah, it's fucking great. When you just glance at something too, you're like, oh yeah, I can see where people will think that it's a Gundam. Dan Hans for $20. Thank you for no spoilers. Can't wait to see it. Right on.
Yeah, and yeah, it's really hard to not spoil this film.
It really is.
Talking around it, it's difficult. Yeah, I'm just gonna say this: if you've seen the trailers and you like them,
you've seen most of the film.
You have a pretty good idea what's going to happen in the film,
and you should feel good about it. Now, I know that again, I don't mind that people disagree, but it's a good film. It's not a great film. Okay, that's where I'm gonna draw the line and say it's a B plus. You can't get me out of that.
Good. B plus is good. I would say. See, to me, that's what ruined it for me. Is I went in. I try to go into every movie, trying to be unbiased, but I did have my hopes up for the film.
Yeah.
So to me, the Reitman's directing was spot on. I'd give it a 9 or a 10 minimum. Special effects, 10. I mean, it was even better. It's like they upgraded the effects from the original movie. So that was phenomenal. The action sequence is great. And one of the things he did phenomenally well was that, I mean, he was like a master chef. He spiced the nostalgia, I think, all the way through, but not too much and not too little, just at the right times. My problem is it had the similar structure that Eternals had in one specific way. The SJW Hollywood, that kind of like the fagenda, that it had it built into the framework of the lead character. If you take a look at the lead character, Phoebe, and you look at what she looks like, when you look at her in the film, she looks like an androgynous boy or an androgynous girl dressed as a boy.
Yeah.
And it's not the nerd thing. It was like they had a message, because if you listened every once in a while, like I said, they didn't beat you over the head with it, but she makes a point about saying that someone, they're not male or female.
I did hear that. Yeah.
Well, they mentioned that about
guys,
something I can't talk about because
that's why I said a specific character. But the other problem was it had, once again, the thing that Dune didn't. So after writing off the high of Dune, coming to this, that's where I was a little bit let down.
But George, there were 4 intersectional moments if you were looking for them in this film.
Yeah, 4. I would say 4 or 5. Yeah, okay, I agree. Okay, we'll agree to 4.
Okay. But you had it baked into Dune the same way, my friend.
But that's the story. See, that's to me the difference. That's the story. So that going into it.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I mean, in almost every way, I think they were trying to tell you that this girl is the granddaughter.
I know she's the granddaughter, but it's not. See, that's the thing. We've seen egghead nerdy girls before. Nothing wrong with them. Perfectly fine. That wasn't it. This went out of its way. And not only that, how many times when the boys showed up, any boy showed up, were they the dunce? Girl shows up, she practices with the photon pack, and all of a sudden she's expert. I was like, great, they actually did it right. They didn't make her Mary Sue, so I was thrilled with that. But then the next girl shows up within 2 seconds. She grabs it, boom, she's hitting things like an expert. But when the original Ghostbusters had to practice. At the same time, no, that's also, I'm going to disagree with you. It's okay. I love this because George and I don't often disagree, so this is fun, guys. But I'm going to say this. I think that you're discounting her interactions with Paul Rudd. Right? Yeah. All they did was show her as an intellectual equal. That's what I said. That's fine. I'm not talking. I moved from her. I'm saying they actually showed her practicing. I like that. It didn't jump to the Mary Sue like she picks it up and boom. No. But the next girl who I'm not mentioning, and the one that the boy
I know you're talking about.
He picks it up, and within 2 seconds, she's like shooting better than the Ghostbusters.
I think that was probably more of a lack of time to show that kind of development for her.
And there was a lot of time in between.
Right. Yeah. Then you had the guy, when he needs to use it, what does he do? It doesn't work.
No, that wasn't his fault, though.
It wasn't his fault. It was sabotaged by things.
And there's a background to that character, George, that we can't talk about because we're not doing the spoilers.
I know. But that's why I'm trying to walk around it. I've accepted her character. She's the super genius.
No. I'm talking about the other person that you just referenced that we can't talk about.
Right, but they never showed her. But they never showed her engaged.
It doesn't matter. What's her dad's background?
I know
that doesn't translate.
I don't think that translates either.
No, people who have children like that, and they have never practiced.
Oh, yeah. I think that the main thing though is that for me, I mean, it's very easy to say that, but here's the problem. I would love to give Hollywood the benefit of the doubt and say that it could be the fact that there's just not enough time in the movie to show that.
But like I said, I mean, and that's where, again, I felt like there were right at the beginning, there was a short bit of pacing that they didn't hit exactly right. Thought it was, and they had a lot of room. And as I said to Lorena earlier, and you probably heard this, George, when you were driving, I think there is half an hour, 40 minutes sitting on the floor somewhere.
I hope so, because it might make it a better movie. Especially, you remember? Okay, I'm gonna try to walk around this. I was thinking,
and the real Tom King says the OG Ghostbusters didn't need much more than 10 seconds of practice.
Yeah, but they also designed it and built it. Oh, it's a little bit different.
I don't
really. All of them designed it and built it. Like,
I don't get into that. About it. The George has a point. I agree with what George is saying. So don't misunderstand.
That's like you and that Mads, real simple. When was the first time you picked up a gun in your life? Was it when you went in the military?
No.
Okay. If you hadn't have picked it up, how did you do when you went to boot camp? I mean, were you a marksman right off the bat?
Yeah. No, I mean, but it's the M16 is a very easy weapon to handle because there's not a lot of kickback with it,
right?
Not a lot of recoil. So yeah. I shot very well. Yeah.
Okay. Were there people who didn't have experience with guns?
Yeah, there was a lot of people.
My favorite is watching journalists shoot them and cry.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, you're talking.
No,
Yes,
I'm trying to talk about a message. If it wasn't Hollywood in this era, then I'd say no big deal. I wouldn't care. And it really, that's why I say the movie has many great parts. There's just a few pieces that because we know Hollywood shoves their agenda in there, that's what bothered me. If they hadn't have messed with it, I think it would have been a phenomenal film.
But again, I think for what we got, just like with Dune.
Did you think the ending was appropriate when they started paying attention to the legacy characters? And I was excited when I saw them. Except what happened? Do you remember that?
It still worked for me.
It worked.
Still worked for me.
Yeah,
it worked for you. That
I can't talk about why it does right now, which is driving me crazy. So
it didn't bother you that a 12-year-old saved.
She didn't do it alone.
Easy.
She didn't do it alone.
Everybody stop. Everybody stop. Everybody stop.
So that part actually was what got me the most, where I started rethinking the film.
Yeah, but you're missing important context on that, like because she didn't do it alone.
Right, but she started.
We're not doing this. You guys stop.
I know we're being vague. That's kind of thing. But anyway, it's really hard to talk about that part.
Okay, we'll have to wait till everybody has seen it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. George will agree with me. Go see this movie. Okay, just go see this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
It's definitely one of those movies I'm gonna tell people go see it so you can judge it on your own. I certainly have my opinions, but I do encourage people to see the movie because it's enjoyable.
Especially if you have a significant other. My girlfriend was in tears the whole way home, and she was like, "It was worth the risk of the vid."
Okay, hang on. I need to tell Dalton something. Dalton, Twitter's acting really weird, dude. I sent the link out like several times to people, and they weren't able to get it.
I didn't get it. Yeah,
I sent it to you already. I'll send it again. I might need to email it to you, dude, because. For whatever reason, Twitter is like fucking up with the DMs right now.
Yeah.
It didn't send again.
So George, do you think this movie's a waste of people? I have to ask.
What I would say is this: go see the movie, but with your eyes open. That's all. There are good moments. Would I see it again? You know how I would see it? It's one of those films that I would skip through to the parts that I really like. That's it. Wow. That's how I would see it. Yeah, I did not like because I know what's happening. Because of the fact that the way that they designed it just bothers me. Because there are a lot of kids in there who that impacts. And because of the fact that we've let it go for year after year after year, this is where we end up. That is the issue.
And I laughed quite a bit because Philip A. Demick has asked several questions we haven't addressed. I laughed quite a bit. There were several moments of like I had 2 belly laughter moments, and a lot of great humor. It's not like watching 2016. 2016 was so
that was horrific. No, that you can't even watch. I left the movie.
But George, if this is the end game of Hollywood and their wokeness, I would welcome it.
If it was,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the problem
because
is
this was enjoyable,
right? But they take inches because.
But this doesn't feel like a continuation or a progression. It feels like a regression. Like they pulled back on it, even if there is still there in the shadows or whatever. It is not in your face. It is not. Right. You know what? It's not Ghostbusters 2016.
Correct. Except, see, I was about to agree with you, except for one thing. I think when you said they pulled back a little bit, I agree with you there. They might have, but they made it subtler. And that's actually more dangerous. Because then people go, hey, go enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's that type of programming, the same thing they do in schools, the same thing they do everywhere, where the next thing you know, that's my belief.
That feels a little much. That feels a little bit much to put on this movie.
No, it's not putting it on this movie. I'm saying it's a pattern. I'm not saying this movie did it. That's why I said great directing, great effects, even had a great story. I just didn't like how they baked in certain things into the framework. If they didn't have that, to me, it would have been a phenomenal film, period.
Yeah, I mean, and again, there's certain things that I can point out that
you know what I'm talking about,
can't talk about. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
And again, it gets into the whole thing with talking about the movie and getting into spoiler territory that we can't get into. But some of that is actually kind of baked into the original lore of the film. So And again, I'm trying to avoid that shit because I know there's people that want to see the movie and don't want spoilers.
All I say is go with your eyes open. If you have a good time, hey, I am never one to stand in anyone's way. If I disagree with you, hey, that's great. If you loved it, more power to you. I will never tell anyone not to enjoy something just because.
Part of it makes me wonder because we saw this with Dune where they said you have to do this or we'll do it for you.
Right.
And it makes me wonder if there's a certain amount of wokeness that has to be baked into movies these days to get them made.
Well, I mean, especially if they want any chance of winning an Oscar, because like it's mandated. You have to have these things.
Yep.
You know.
And that's what concerns me, is that it was actually, and you said it best, man. It's like maybe they walked it back, and I actually think they made it much more subtle. But I saw audiences. Now, when I went to the theater, which I was surprised, there were like 30 people. I don't know if that was a special screening for Wednesday. It was on a special screening. I expected it to be packed. But, where there were times when, when they said their jokes, they laughed. Paul Rudd comes on the screen, people laugh. I like
How
Paul
could you
Rudd.
not?
Right. I like Paul Rudd, but he's not an actor. He's Paul Rudd. He's a comic. He's funny. Yeah. I mean, he was great as the character he played. Loved it. Classic.
Yep.
But, and I love seeing Ghostbusters. I do. I didn't stay for the end credits. I was just.
I had to leave right when the credits started.
Until I heard
started.
say they were. I was like, damn it.
Well, just stick through the credits, guys. It's an extra, 8 to 12 minutes of your life, and
I would have.
Because it made it seem when the song came on, when the original Ghostbusters song came on, I almost felt like they were restarting the universe. So that's what it sounded like to me.
No, I guess no.
Like there was going to be another film. That's what I felt.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
did you watch?
I guess ultimately, obviously, the goal of nowadays with Hollywood is to get a franchise going.
Right.
And can they get another one going with this? I don't know if they could.
What are you asking?
Franchise. It's like a sequel, like a follow-up movie. I don't know if they could.
Well, it's already set. I mean, well, I don't even want to talk about it. We'll do this when we do a spoiler review, and I can talk about everything, including how it's set up to go and how it's going to start.
I'll say one more thing without saying anything about the film, because someone had mentioned Cobra Kai in the chat and just caught my attention. Yeah. Cobra Kai, to me, is a phenomenal way to do an old film. But even in the last 2 seasons, they had some SJW stuff. But you know what? It wasn't baked into the frame of the movie. It was a character, and I could actually understand. Yeah, I could actually understand the character because they're in California. This is where they're raised, and so it fit. So I was like, cool.
I thought it kind of poked fun at SJW stuff.
It does.
At least with like the first season.
Oh, the first season. I was just talking about the third season.
Yeah, I haven't watched anything past the first season.
But also, George, I think that you're also discounting the fact that these kids are from New York City.
Right.
It's the same background.
Right. But that's why I said the difference is maybe I'm splitting hairs, but one felt baked in and one felt more natural. That's all.
I honestly thought every bit of all the characters in this were mostly natural. This is the weird thing. And again, this is the problem. And I said it in the review I did right after I saw the film. If you're going to go looking for the ghosts, pun intended, in this film, you're going to find them because there's 4 of them. There are 2 that are glaringly obvious and 2 that are more subtle. And 2 that are more subtle. But if you turn your brain off to all of that and just escape into the film, believe it or not, doesn't matter. It's one of those times.
Well, one of the things that kind of bothered me a bit, and I wish I brought this up with Lorena's because I was going to see what her take is. It's like I kind of felt like they had the wrong demographic as far as like ethnicities because they're in the middle of Oklahoma.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's part of it is
it
like
stood out to me too.
It's like some of those characters should have been Native American. Let's be honest. Right. If they're wanting to do minority characters, the most and they're in the middle of Oklahoma, Native American,
and nowhere Oklahoma, not even just
nowhere Oklahoma. The 2 demographics would be white and Native American.
Right.
I spent a lot of time in Tulsa. I went to aeronautics school there, and by the way, this was the best opportunity to get representation for Native Americans,
which get very little representation in Hollywood, by the way.
Yeah, and other than the guy that played Geronimo, he's in everything. Whenever you need a Native American, that's the guy to call.
Well, the funny thing is, like, the only time you see a Native American actor typically is when it is a Cowboys and Indians film.
Right.
That's specifically
Or
Like, do
that
you
one
think
with
that-
Jeremy Renner. Man, it was a really good movie.
the
Wind
one where he
River.
blocks, opens up the
Renner or
bomb.
Jeremy Renner, you meant to say.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner. That's what I said.
I thought you said the one where he opens up and disposes of the bombs.
Do
That's
not
your
bring that
favorite
one up.
film. I
No,
know it's your
see, I know
favorite
what you're doing. No,
I
Wind,
remember, yeah,
Talking River. Wind
Oh,
River.
okay, didn't you hear him say that's his greatest film? He loves it. He has a poster on his wall. He even has his signature, opening up all the.
Yeah,
People wonder why I hate you.
You mean Hurt Locker?
Yes,
yeah,
Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker is his favorite film.
That's what I thought. I knew it. I knew it.
Talking about it.
Wind River had good, had Native
Windlocker.
American.
Windlocker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Windtalker?
There's also Wind Talkers too, which
Isn't that what
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your second
But look,
favorite film?
John Woo.
There were three
Wasn't it?
underrepresented, vaguely Native Americans in this film.
See, one of the
so,
issues you just mentioned is like if you close your eyes to it, you won't notice it. But that's my point.
Well,
is
but
it's
see,
written in.
And Mr. Matt says the same thing, and I'm going to say this: it isn't as baked in as it. I don't agree that it's as baked in as you do. I just think you see. It's the same thing in Dune. I think. I think Mr. Reitman had to make concessions, just like Knucklehead had to make for Dune. Denis Villeneuve. I think that you have to make concessions to get your film, but I honestly believe that there's 40 minutes on the cutting room floor that would help.
I could see
film.
2 scenes. I could see 2 scenes where it was left out. I can.
I could see 4 scenes,
really?
or 6 scenes. There were elements that I'm like, okay, that's a weird jump.
Okay.
But again,
hang on, so Dalton can hear you. Dalton, dude, send me your email address. I don't know what it is. I checked your channel page and it didn't have it on there. So just
troll.
Just drop it in chat or something. I don't know. Then I could email it to you.
Did one of you think that one of the characters reminded you of one from the Goonies? Because I thought they took one directly from the Goonies. I mean, some of his speech was directly from the Goonies, and it wouldn't surprise me. Right?
Podcasts remind me a lot of the Goonies.
Okay, I was like, he's literally taking. I'm like, the only thing he's missing are all the gadgets, but he had his own.
But he's
nothing wrong with him.
He's the character I thought was great.
He starts out annoying, like what the flip, and then he turns into somebody you love. That's the whole film to me. It's like, okay, I now have connection with everything. There's only 2 characters in this film that I don't feel connected to, which is weird because I never feel connected to characters in modern film right now.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I liked his character. He was probably my favorite besides the others I won't mention. But no, I liked him. No, he's what they call, and I just forgot the word. He was like the audience's mascot into the film.
He's the comedic relief for the eyes of the audience. Yes,
and I enjoyed that because I thought when they first brought him on screen and they said his name, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be horrible. And
hey guys, hang on a second. Dalton, check your Twitter. It finally freaking posted to your DMs.
I can't believe how many different things I just got from you for this stream on my Twitter. It was nuts.
Twitter's being weird, and like I tried posting to our group the link because Culture's like, send the link. It's like, dude, I already sent it. And I was like, holy shit, it's not showing you. The DMs are acting really weird, and I guess they're slowly popping in now. And there's Dalton.
Yeah, I got pounded with a bunch of them.
It's Twitter. Twitter's being fucking weird right now.
Holy hell, it really is being annoying today. But that's par for the course today. Today has been a series of ridiculous mishaps. I didn't get any sleep. I burned my lunch because the air fryer was weird and yada, yada, yada. But the one silver lining is this movie was okay. Like, I'm glad George actually came in before me because now I get to say some not nice things about the movie without coming off as the difficult one for once.
Oh, so I'm the difficult. Okay, that's good. Go ahead, Dalton.
And Dalton, remember, we're trying to keep this spoiler free.
I know. I will keep it as spoiler free, or at least as vague as you guys have been being, as I can. There's a lot of missing connective tissue in this movie. I
would agree with that.
It lays the fan service on a bit thick, and I think the structure of the movie doesn't really support the thickness of said spreading on of references. That being said, the one thing this movie has going for it that, as anyone who's been following this channel and my appearances thereon for the last few weeks knows, has not been in the two big attempts at blockbusters recently, for me at least. So sincerity buys a lot in this movie. It really, really does. And I'm sorry, George, but I think you might be a little bit hypersensitive to the wokeness thing, because there's a difference between having characters in it that might loosely think that and hammering you over the head with the darn
they weren't hammering you. That's why I said I felt it was baked in. That's why I gave the example of Cobra Kai, where you had characters who thought that way, and it didn't bug me because I said, well, I can see where they're from.
Well, yeah, and
it felt natural.
The other thing is, whether we like it or not, the kid generation of this particular generation is growing up inculcated into at least the softcore version of a lot of this stuff. So
agreed.
To portray a young character in a movie today, it's kind of like one of my favorite recent TV shows, The Magicians.
Oh, I haven't.
A lot of them give the odd nod or the odd quip about, you know, the patriarchy, blah 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 blah. But it makes sense because they're a bunch of snarky, privileged college students who have gone through some trauma. That makes sense for them in particular to be like, there's a difference between the characters being loosely affiliated with wokeness as an ideology and the movie itself being the, you know, the woke equivalent of like a Pure Flix movie. Just like back in the old days, it didn't bother me when random characters happen to be Christian in movies. What bothers me is when they stop the movie dead to deliver a sermon half the time, or when they change a movie that shouldn't have it and make it a key feature of the, like, for example, one of the moments that kind of ruins the original Day the Earth Stood Still for me is when Kuatu uses the resurrection technology and they stop the movie dead to go, I'm not fully resurrected because that power only belongs to the Almighty Spirit. I'm like, could we really not have done without that in a science fiction movie, please? Seriously.
Yeah, we need more Christianity in science fiction.
No, I have to disagree.
I'm not sure if he's being sarcastic or truthful.
He's being sarcastic.
My stance is everybody needs to get their ideology, especially the moral kind, the frick out of here unless you're making a literal, like, parable type movie.
I disagree with that. Can I push back on that real quick, Culture?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to push back too. Go ahead. You first.
Because the moral framework of people is very important to who they are. So to properly portray characters in film, you have to include that because that is a part of us.
I just made the distinction between a character having that position and the movie itself, the piece having that position.
Okay, except you have a small
literally just made that distinction.
Well, but you use an example of someone talking about their power and I guess because it's a giant robot. An alien from another. My it was point. A robot. The one character was a robot, the other was an alien. But my point is, it didn't fit organically into the movie, and it kind of stopped the movie dead, and happened kind of at the climax. So it's sort of
Dalton.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you a fan of Star Wars? You like the original 3 films? Do you like the prequels?
Yeah.
Well, there's religious ideology all over that film.
Well, spiritual ideology. I wouldn't call it religion. Well, really? Some of it I'd call religious, but there's.
Let's dive. Okay.
What makes Star Wars work, in my opinion, is it's kind of a grab bag of a bunch of different philosophies, all kind of coexisting and meshing and becoming something new entirely in the process.
Okay, Dalton. How about Dune? You a fan of Dune?
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
that's
Well, not the 2021 version. The
You were on that
2021
stream.
version was crap, but whatever.
right. But Dune, the story is filled with. That's what culture's about to say.
There's religious ideology everywhere, my friend. And this is the other problem. Is look, morals can be based on a whole lot of different sets of criteria. Your moral upbringing is impressed upon you, but you're born with a certain framework anyway.
I think you guys are missing the context of what I'm saying. As I have said many times in many different contexts, and this is why I'm feeling a little bit odd that you guys aren't picking up on this, because I've said similar things in many a stream.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the Pearl clutching Helen Lovejoys any more than I like the Reed Karens. I don't like the Tradcon evangelicals any more than I like the
come on, dude.
Soldier Justice Warrior.
I know that's true. I'm just saying look, I mean, you there's moral framework to everyone, and sometimes that it comes with a religious ideology. That's all I'm saying. It's born
right.
out of
Okay, that's fair. But what I'm saying is there's a difference between that influencing you and you warping a otherwise coherent story entirely out of joint, specifically to hammer. It's the difference between making a movie that might have some influences because you had some influences and making a moral propaganda piece.
J.R.R. Tolkien, a devout man, wrote a very
oh my god, that's
story.
Catholics,
right?
And
the whole thing.
And this is a perfect example, because one of Tolkien's best friends was C.S. Lewis.
Correct.
That's the distinction that I would draw. The difference between Tolkien and C.S. Lewis is exactly what I mean. C.S. Lewis's weakness is, despite his rather excellent quote about the danger of moral busybodies, within the context of his story, he kind of was one. Whereas Tolkien not only was better at incorporating it into the in-universe mythos, the in-universe logic.
They're both.
But
okay,
also,
we have deviated from what we're supposed to be talking about. Which let me get this. Tater Squad says the original Ghostbusters was a movie for middle-aged working class adults. Yeah, absolutely. That was like the whole point, was that basically you have these blue collar workers that are, instead of busting cockroaches and rats, they're busting ghosts.
it was parapsychologists who are busting ghosts and deities and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it was very much blue collar,
which will get us back into Ghostbusters as soon as I am able to finish the sentence I started. But the thing about Tolkien is, not only was he better at incorporating it into the overall universe's world that he fabricated, but he also incorporated a lot of non-Christian, or rather pre-Christian elements in the form of the Norse sagas and so forth. That was all I was trying to get out. Anyway, back to Ghostbusters, because the thing I was gonna say, in addition to the thing that I guess ruffled a lot of people's feathers, is I wish that the references had been a little bit more evenly spaced between the first and second movie, because I kind of felt like they were lampshading Ghostbusters 2, and I guess one of the few people on the planet who likes Ghostbusters 2 almost as much as the first one.
Oh.
And therefore, I would have liked to have seen a bit more in the way of references to the second one. Not to mention, as long as we're here and as long as we're making, because this is, let's be real, this is to the Ghostbusters franchise what the Snyder Cut was to the fans
Justice
of DC
League?
who had to sit through Justice League, the Whedon Justice League. And if we're all copacetic with that understanding, I would have liked to have seen some nods to the animated series as well. Because if they had managed to make at least the parts of the animated series that can be made canon, as well as Ghostbusters 1 and 2, that would have been the final nail in Ghostbusters 2016's coffin of like, we are a consistent universe, and therefore you and yours have no power here. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but I think as much as I love the cartoon, that was never considered to be canon, though.
Yeah.
It was in my head. I don't know about de facto canon, but at least the parts that didn't directly contradict things that were established in the movies, in my head are like, in my head, after Ghostbusters 2, the animated series is the shenanigans they all got up to. And then presumably at the end of Ghostbusters the animated series, or the real Ghostbusters rather, Egon realized what he realized, and the the rest she will remain unreferenced because no spoilers. But yeah.
J.A.F.O for $4.99. I think what Dalton is getting at, morality is derived from a set of ethics. There's a difference between characters' morals and the author's morals. Yes, that is exactly what he was getting at. I can't speak for Dalton, but I believe that's what he was getting at.
In addition to, I don't like moral authoritarianism, especially when it impedes or becomes a forceful filter for art in any form. Yeah. I don't care whose morality is. And just to be clear, I apply that standard to myself as well. That's why I don't, when I write stories, and I do write stories with a friend of mine, but that's something for later. When I write stories, I specifically try to say to myself, is this happening in this story because it makes sense for it to happen, or is it happening because I, the writer, want it to happen? And not enough writers make that distinction anymore, because they want to play this interventionalist God role in the context of the story. And I really, really hate that we've lost the ancient Greco-Roman conception of, no, the art is higher than you. It comes from somewhere else, whether that be, the subconscious and intuition, or whether that be, the muses, or whether it be the Michelangelo thing of the sculpture was already in the marble, I just chipped away the unneeded bit. I really hate the modern day egotism of a lot of authors that think that the worlds are theirs to control rather than theirs to convey.
Well, now that Midnight's Edge stream has ended, hello everyone coming from there. Hopefully Tom could be joining us as well. But overall, man, what were your thoughts on the movie? Did you like it?
It was. I think it's the weakest of the three. Of the three originals, the Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2, I think are still better than this. That being said, as flawed as this movie is, it's sincere, and sincerity buys a lot for me, because I've been forcibly fed a black pill or two lately as far as entertainment goes, and I needed a win. And while this didn't give me this didn't give me what Dr. Sleep gave me in relation to the Shining mythos, for example.
Okay. Right.
This was fine, and it was sincere, and they tried their hardest, and it's a decent place to, if they want to, build another 2 movies out of it and make a new trilogy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Did you think that the ending left it open for?
I didn't think it did.
I thought the ending that I saw, I didn't see the end credits. I just saw right when the credits started. I thought, Dalton, that it left it open for another film. Did you think that?
I think it leaves it open for another film, especially with the post-credit scenes.
See, I didn't see them.
And I would really like it. And if we're being consistent, just while I'm making a wish list here, since we got Gozer, then Vigo, then Gozer, let's do Vigo again. I want Vigo again.
How about a new
Dalton? Stop.
and while I'm finishing my Ghostbusters 4 wish list, Ecto Cooler revival when?
I thought they were bringing back the Ecto Cooler for this movie. Somebody said that. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I don't know.
I heard about. It was somebody in a stream I heard say that.
Well, we're going to look at reviews.
Yes, actually. Before we do that, hello, Tom.
No, never mind.
Hey, Tom.
No, let Mad do what he's going to do. It's probably something gay.
No,
wow.
I was going to pull up. I was going to pull up the Rotten Tomatoes score.
He's just in denial. Until he comes out of denial, I'm going to give him shit.
He's about to talk about Hurt Locker, his favorite film.
George, I swear to God.
Okay. Before we jump into this, Tom, did you see the movie?
No, I didn't see shit. No, I'm kidding. Of course I saw this fucking movie.
What were your thoughts?
Well, I loved it.
Good. because it's not good for my brain to have to be up here defending a movie with not only so many women but children too. Two of the worst things in movies.
And that will be quote mine in T-minus -5 seconds.
So who's all seen it? And are we talking about spoilers? I guess
we've all seen it. No spoilers. No spoilers.
I think I'm the only one who's contrary to it. Well, I like most of it. Yeah, I like most of it. I just didn't like a certain baked-in SJW agenda.
No, I thought it was choppy too, but my issues had more to do with the structure of the thing rather than the content, rather than the
agenda out of it at all. Yeah,
that's what I said. It was subtle, and it just bothered me. Now, of course, culture thinks I could be sensitive, and so I'm going to think about that.
I said the same thing, man. There's stuff I noticed. I wasn't sure if I'm being overly sensitive about it, or
I think there was 5 scenes. Culture says there's 4, so I'll go with him 4. But I think there's 5. But I think for directing was phenomenal. Action, great. The effects were 10 times better than the original. They were. So there was a lot that I liked. I just didn't like certain things.
Okay, you know what? I didn't get around to asking this question, George. And before we let Tom go off on how awesome it was, and Tom would be an authority as far as I'm concerned. I want to ask you this question: putting a grade on this film, a letter grade or a number grade out of a scale of I like 1 to 5 more than 1 to 10, right? I like letter grades A to F. Where is this film then? I'm curious.
If you ignore 5 scenes, a B. It would be. Really? I would say go have a good time, but just keep your eyes open. That's right. But
you seem very angry for a B rating. Like
no, because it's not everywhere. That's why I said it was really well done. Typically, I'd say don't waste your time. I mean, again, the directing, I was surprised he could do that. I really was surprised he could do that well. Nostalgia, I think he spiced it perfectly throughout the movie. Not too much, not too little, just right. I just didn't like the end scene.
And while we're here, I'll give mine too, I guess. I'd say I'd give it a B-. It could have had more connections to Ghostbusters 2. And it could have had more connections to the animated series. And it could have been just a tiniest bit more expansive to the mythology rather than just kind of rehashing stuff.
That's kind of how I felt, Dalton. I also give it a B-. Like I said, it's an enjoyable film. I think it's okay. There's definitely areas for improvement, and again, I'll cover all that when I get into my spoiler review, because I don't want to lay it out here. But there's some stuff I didn't mind the bit of rehashing if they went deeper in certain areas.
Yeah, that was my thing too. And one of the areas.
They had the opportunity to do it too.
Yeah, while talking around it, the one moment that almost pulled me out of things was like, there's a chase scene with a character who should not have to chase anyone ever because the famous "Are you a god? No, then die" exchange.
Dalton.
I'm talking around it.
Not really.
Not really.
You just said it.
I mean,
but point being, there's a reason why certain characters in the Ghostbusters franchise have to be dealt with in the matter of very clever decision making and about 5 seconds, because otherwise doom. And there was some nerfing in the third act.
I give it an 8.B.
8.B?
8.B, yes.
Okay, 8.B. Gotcha. All right, so some of these reviews are hilarious because you could tell they're obviously salty about 2016,
and salty about people actually getting what they want out of a movie. How dare you actually treat this franchise like it's valuable on its own for its own merits, derp.
Yeah. I mean, should you be? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna read it. Go ahead. Okay. Should you be a Ghostbusters admirer who goes into the franchise extension wanting to see an actual, movie, you'll feel as if you're trespassing in somebody else's house of worship. But at least you'll know not to call it next time. What the fuck is that?
Well, it's because they're trying to bury it because of 2016. That's it. They don't know.
But I don't even know what that means. Somebody make sense of this?
Yeah, it means nothing. I hate the film because y'all didn't like the movie I like.
Yeah. The original Ghostbusters thrived on irreverence, which is true.
Yeah.
And it was a lot that had to do with Bill Murray, which, is not a main character in this movie. So
unfortunately.
I mean, and it being not irreverent is fine. And to see it treated with such moon-eyed worship feels terribly counterproductive. What the fuck?
Well, okay, but here's the thing.
Who's a 2016 fan.
Venkman is the only one of the original Ghostbusters that doesn't treat the mythos and the broader context with some kind of irreverent tech. Ray, opens an occult shop. Egon is always serious because he's Egon. And even Winston starts regarding things in like biblical terms in the first one. So it's like, really, Venkman is the odd one out, if anything.
Yeah, he's the one who is actually irreverent.
He's always been the skeptic. Yes.
Except, but I also disagree with you, Dalton, based on what we know in this film about what he dives back into after the original Ghostbusters dissolve. So I'm going to disagree with you. It seems like that's my lot in life right now, is disagreeing with Dalton.
I will say this. I mean, is it a perfect film? No. The original film is lightning in a bottle.
Oh,
yes. It's hard to recapture that.
Never going to recapture that again. But I'll be damned if this doesn't come as close as you can get with manufacturing that.
The three work as a trilogy is the
Really?
thing, and that's the important part.
To me, I have not had this much fun at a movie since I can remember.
Really?
There were grown men weeping.
Oh, wow.
It was the type of experience that I have not had since probably at least the 90s, maybe early 2000s, if that, maybe the first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 2, somewhere in there. Because even like some of I don't even feel that emotionally wrapped up into like a lot of the superhero movies as I did this. And I get it. Look.
There's I wasn't crying, but there was definitely a part in the movie which I can't talk about that got me, a bit emotional.
There were some moments, yeah.
Especially
in the third act there.
This guy who says it's nostalgia, it's easy, but it's empty and it doesn't bring anything fresh to the table. I don't know what fucking movie he watched.
What's more, what movie would you give a positive review to then? Because if this movie is hollow in its fan service and its nostalgia, then every single Marvel movie must be infinitely more.
It's just garbage. Yeah.
No. This movie did nostalgia perfectly. Again, I hail.
To me, this is Cobra Kai level. Like in my opinion, this is Cobra Kai level done right. It is not a rehash of the first film like The Force Awakens was.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't tear down any of the classic characters at all. Even when you think it kind of is, it still brings it back in a way. It all pays off. It's all there for a reason. There's only a few minor gripes I have with things. In fact, if anything, this movie's too short.
I agree.
There was a little bit of that. I could have done with some more, especially in the third act. They could have done with about another 20 minutes.
As far as like the McKenna Grace character, she knocked it out of the.
She killed it. She was great.
You talking about Phoebe?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Phoebe.
That's what drove me crazy. But she did play her part well.
Me too. Yeah, Tom, I'm with you. I thought she was great. She won me over immediately.
Grandchild without doing an impersonation of Egon, but yet you could
tell there was some family resemblance there.
Exactly. It's not just the resemblance, even. She has her own quirks, but yet she has similar ones to Egon, but they're not exactly the same, right? She's not doing an impersonation of Harold Ramis.
No, I agree. But it's still. I can definitely see why these two are related. And was I the only one who, in regards to the mom and Egon bits, was I the only one who kept getting like PG or G rated version of like Rick from Rick and Morty and Beth from Rick and Morty vibes from their relationship? Because that was what my mind kept. That was what my mind kept referencing. With their relationship is very similar to a slightly more stable and earnest and put together version of Rick and Beth.
I kind of pictured something like that. But here's the thing: is you have two absentee fathers, right, in this movie. But what you also have is a mother who isn't painted as the world's perfect mother. She is one of the world's most fucked up moms.
Yeah, she is.
The kids even pointed out she's one of the most irresponsible moms in the world.
Well,
right?
and to be fair, in regards to the deadbeat dad thing, they did a lot to kind of honestly, in my opinion, do a really sincere version of why stuff like that happened.
Exactly.
Rather
I
than
mean,
just going,
Script
oh,
Doctor,
he didn't
right?
care. Oh, he, was an a-hole, so on and so forth. No,
Well, and
I
Script
can't say
Doctor
any more
even-
than that because spoilers.
Yeah,
But
well, and I can say this much: like Script Doctor and I brought up a point like this. Like they leave, even though she says whatever reason it was that the father left, the door is still open. That she is such a fuck up. It could be her fault. She's just not
I
gonna say
guarantee
that.
it. I guarantee
That's the
it.
thing, and that's why I love about this movie, because then it brings everything back around at the end without getting too much into it. So even when maybe that's the thing, George, you're talking about, because like there's only like maybe 2 scenes that I can think of that went into nearly woke territory, and like one of them is still kind of basically a joke on the first film in a way, and the second one was still funny, so I enjoyed it. So I can't get into specifics.
Well,
into spoilers,
no, that's why I say if people enjoyed it, I'm thrilled. That means you had a good time, and that's the point of a movie. And like I said, I love the action, love the effects, love the directing. I just didn't like 4 scenes, which I guess in Hollywood today, it just is not avoidable. So
it's also the current, as annoying as the current year argument is. It is 2021, and this is part of our culture, whether we like it or not. And I think every one of us are vehemently in the we definitely do not like it, but it is, it must be similar to what happened when the parents of the 50s saw the children of the 60s being all flower power and hippie and stuff. It
could be. You could be right, Dalton. I mean,
they were idiots too. Like,
well, yes, but that's my point. It's at some point you got to be like, well, it's not my generation anymore, and this is what the new culture and the new zeitgeist is. So
that
doesn't
make it
be there
good.
somewhere, whether we like it or not.
Right, but they made a movie banking on all the old fans coming.
Wait, hold on. I wanted to touch on that, but just because it's not our generation, we shouldn't be like, well, I guess this is how it is now. No, that doesn't. But that doesn't justify or excuse their behavior for this generation.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a difference between it. Again, it's the difference between making a movie that acknowledges the year it was or the time it was made in versus a movie that literally goes, everything before us in history is inferior and immoral, and we are the only true ones that understand how the world works. Which is how 90% of the woke movies go, is you are inferior for not liking this. This is the one true morality, and you can suck an egg if you don't like it.
Okay, so there's a comment I want to get to, because Lisa's asking what is my rating on the 2016 Ghostbusters. I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen it, but I will rate it as the worst toilet in Scotland.
Yeah,
I'll give you a rating in 1.
Yeah, 1.
That's because you have to give it a number.
Yeah,
if I could go 0, I would.
I like the idea of rating things with analogies, or just like I like what Gary says. I gotta start giving things ratings in Stuckmans. It's like Eternals. I gave I think it was like 3 strained eye rolls, a bloated Stuckman, and a poke to the eye.
my rating for Eternals, I guess, would have been Jack Kirby roasting on a rotisserie in his grave.
That felt like heartburn. It was like heartburn and a colonoscopy.
It was about as painful as a colonoscopy.
Yeah, Eternals, my God. And see, maybe that was also the issue. Seeing
interpretive dancing on Jack Kirby's grave, I guess, would be another good one for Eternals.
I think I needed a palate cleanser, because going from Eternals to then watch this, I had a little bit of higher hopes. I mean, I guess the only thing that would thrill me one day is to see the original crew back together, like for a movie.
I had the same reaction, because I had to suffer through Dune and then also Eternals, and it was just like, can we just not do this anymore? I know. I'm the only one standing against the Balrog on that one, but nevertheless, you shall not pass 100 million at the domestic box office. Mediocrity shall not avail you, film before them.
Well, and if this movie does well, there's all kinds of room for expansion, right? Like, and again, not
as there should be, yeah.
And that's what I love about
room for expansion.
This movie. To me, and it felt like a perfect meal. Like, it left you wanting just a couple more bites, but you weren't overstuffed. Like, I definitely want some more. To me,
it's not like Eternals where you basically they threw everything in the fucking kitchen sink.
Well, this isn't even comparable.
And also,
they stuck to one topic, which was smart, but they should have gone deeper. is the issue.
And should have gotten a different director who knows how Jack Kirby's tone
This
works.
isn't even comparable to shit like that. Like to me,
No,
like,
not at
I
all.
was saying earlier, like to me, like I'm starting to really see how empty the shit like the Marvel universe is in comparison. Because this movie made me feel things I have not felt in the cinema in so fucking long. And I don't care if you want to play like the whole thing with the critics are like, "Oh, you're being manipulated by nostalgia."
Hell yeah!
I think they did a great job with it.
Yeah, you know what? This great. This one's great. It's arguable whether franchise filmmaking is inherently a bad thing, but Ghostbusters Afterlife certainly makes a case for those who claim that irredeemably soulless of the model. Soullessness. It wasn't a fucking soulless movie.
No, not at all.
You know what? I think it's so funny how they fucking regard this as a soulless movie.
Because it doesn't play the pandering game. It doesn't pander to their worldview or their art
now,
school mentality.
People are asking, does this erase 2016? No, because it's not in the same fucking universe at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
they don't even acknowledge its existence.
Yeah, they don't acknowledge it because it doesn't take place in that universe.
Yeah,
it's the third movie in the trilogy that we've wanted for 20 some years.
You cannot walk away from this movie not thinking that, man, the director, like he loved, like it was a love letter from him to his father.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was,
that,
and he literally grew up on set as they were making it. So
not just that.
Ghostbusters Afterlife leans so heavily on the IP of Ghostbusters. No shit. This is obviously a 2016 fan.
You mean we give people the things that they want? They actually like it.
I want to see what Jeremy John had to say about The Force Awakens, to be honest with you. I think I made this point earlier in our review. I said, I think Jason approached this appropriately as a fan first, not so much as Ivan Reitman's son. Okay. If he did that, the weight would be so heavy that you could never function under that kind of
even if he got his dad and Dan Aykroyd to both help him, which I have to believe he got some help from both of them, because
Dan Aykroyd
both of them really love this IP.
Okay, well, there's one thing I want to point out that Ian's pointing out. He says, stop calling it a trilogy. I have to agree. I wouldn't consider this to be a trilogy. I would consider this to be a sequel movie. But I would not consider it's not, though. It's really not. And culture needs to bounce real quick. So let me
I do
get him going.
But I want to say these words. The Haddadi chick that you were just highlighted a moment ago. Yeah, she thought incredibly highly. She thought Halloween Kills was terrible.
It was.
So wow.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
All right. Well,
I mean, the new Halloween reboot wasn't bad, but the sequel was kind of meh.
I liked it, but there's been a lot of debate about it.
Which is fine, whatever. But I'm just saying, it's funny because now whenever I see a critic's review on Rotten Tomatoes, I go find all their other reviews and I'm like, you're an idiot. I did it with Mark Kennedy today, and he writes for the AP. He's an idiot. But beyond all, I mean, this dude, Mark Kennedy, I'm going to say it again because I did it in the 6 Minute Daily this morning. Dude said 2.5 stars for Eternals, 1 star for Ghostbusters.
What?
Dude.
That's fucking funny.
Okay, somebody get the proton packs out. We need to literally just go and resurrect some ancient Babylonian deities here.
Again, I think all of that has to do with culture. The same thing. They hate the fact that 2016 Ghostbusters got flamed, and they're pissed off.
Well, they also hate the idea of genuineness.
Oh my God, Culture's up there. We just ignored him. It's his outro.
Yeah, it's his outro.
Sorry,
Culture. Say goodnight, Culture.
I love you guys. It's just great. You guys don't get it. I don't want to leave, but I've got to. Tomorrow's going to be a weird day, so I just want to say this about that. I thought the movie was a B+. I'm going to say it that way. Odin OMB movie reviews thinks quite highly of the film as well. There are people who think this is a good film. There are people who think this is a great film. And there are people who don't fall into those categories. And you know what's great? We accept all of you. So thanks for being here. Do check out this film. In my opinion, it's not a waste of time. Check out all these lovely gentlemen. They're amazing. I love hanging out with all of them. Thank Lorena for being here. She was great. And thank all of you guys. Love you guys.
Love you.
Be sure to take care of yourselves, everybody. I will see you mañana.
And I'll see you out, Culture.
No ticket.
Always love that. Always
Anything
love
goes.
I really wish that they would. One thing is not for this movie, separate. I wish they would have used adults instead of kids. I would have liked that, at least from me.
That was my initial reaction when I saw the casting years ago that they're casting kids. I'm like, God damn it! And then I saw the trailer. I'm like, you know what? This actually might be good.
I don't. I liked it. I didn't mind.
I enjoyed it too. It reminded me a lot of
the only thing
Goonies,
with the kids that I think was a
good.
problem, and this is not even a spoiler because everybody knows this already. The one kid named Podcast.
Yeah,
like the
I
fact
like
that they have. I like that's not what I'm talking about though. But like this is a common thing. And when they made this movie, it wasn't so much. But since they made this movie, now there's been other things like Mighty Ducks and the new Chucky show and a few other things that have had like a character just like that. So I feel like that's going to kind of the only thing that's really going to date this movie.
I haven't seen any of those, so it
I haven't
worked
seen any of those
well
either.
for me.
No, I know, but that to me it stuck out. But like I know you guys are like that's like a new character to you guys. But like they have a very similar character to this already, and several other kind of.
He wasn't my favorite part of the movie. I'll just say that. Like I could have done without him. I could have done without him in a lot of it, and it wouldn't have inconvenienced anything. But I get what they were going for. They were kind of going for. Honestly, they were sort of going for him being the new or the new surrogate for an Egon type character, you know, the weirdo who's kind of asocial and blah blah blah. So,
but wouldn't that be the granddaughter?
What I saw in this one, and not to give away too many spoilers, was basically we're getting to kind of see probably how Ray and Egon got to be friends.
Yeah, I can see that. But by the way,
and Venkman was, I guess, just one of their college roommates once, and he just got kind of dragged
like
along for the ride, probably.
Kind of like the older brother in a way, yeah.
I suspect that if they ever do, and they shouldn't ever do a prequel to Ghostbusters, but
no,
if we ever wanted to delve into the backstories of the main three there, Venkman was probably a frat bro in college.
I mean, but there's nothing to do because there were no ghosts back. They weren't fighting ghosts. What would the prequel be about?
He glommed onto Ray and Egon because he would use them to skate by.
Yeah,
he
completely what it is. Yes, his two nerdy friends.
I see a lot of people are saying that Podcast was basically Ray, which I would agree with.
Oh yeah,
Ray.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Ray. I don't have a problem with that. I picked that out right away, and
I thought he was from the Goonies. Remember?
But he was more kind of like your Ray character in this movie.
Yeah,
I thought he was short round. Racist.
Short round.
Shut up, Mads.
No, I. By the way, again, like I could have done without Stranger Thing kid in this whole thing.
I can't stand him.
I don't think he added it. He's hard to look at.
I want Hollywood to go back to the days where they pick people that you idolize.
Here's the thing: is I think he was misused. Without getting into the story part too much, I think they should have done more with him with the mother and less with him with the other girl.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't overuse him though. Like he didn't. His plot did not overtake this movie. Phoebe's story is the one that we're following. ABC. Yeah. So like, I had no problems with that whatsoever.
So
you didn't think there was a?
Hang on, guys. Let me get this from Xenobit. I have a few super chats when you get through real quick. Xenobit for $5. My favorite review are them talking about it not being respectful enough of the 80s movies. Since when did they care about respecting the originals? They don't. That's the funny part.
They don't even care about the idea of art existing for its own sake. That, you know.
Yeah. He also follows up with for another $2. The people crying were the SJWs, not the fans.
No,
absolutely.
No, there was some actual genuine men crying at the right time.
My girlfriend cried the whole way home.
Right, but did she cry at every?
But
film?
it was tears of joy. It wasn't like, oh my God.
I was moved to. Yeah, it wasn't. My narrative is ruined.
Yeah, I felt so bad. I didn't feel.
Am I still here? Okay.
You're here.
Something's
frozen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's being weird.
Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
StreamYards is being weird. Apparently, it doesn't know what my camera I'm using.
I tell you what, I'm glad I got this baby though, because
nice,
beautiful.
These things are going for like $144 already on eBay.
By the way, I did like how they set up. Oh, sorry.
Have you seen Tom, the 1/6 Ecto, the 1/6 scale Ecto years ago that was released by Blitzway? Look at that, you'll like it.
I think I may have
the huge one.
A couple things. I did like how they I did like how they planted these seeds to pay off later, like just simple things like the ugly kid. I don't know, Stranger Things. He's like changing the oil on the car, you know what I mean? So it kind of shows you that he is capable of working on a vehicle to some level. You know what I mean? Rather than it just coming out of nowhere. Like there was little things like that was nice. But Tom, earlier I said that this felt more like Super 8 to me than it did Stranger Things.
I didn't like Super 8, but yeah, no, like
Right.
to me, it just it captured that tone of the original film. Because you go back, and the main problem with the second film is that the studio got too involved in the fact that the show and the toys had gotten so popular, had caused them to kind of forget what made the original film successful and work. Because the original film isn't really a comedy, at least in the sense like Stripes or Caddyshack or one of those kind of movies are, right? It's definitely not
It's a horror comedy.
It's more of it's filmed like a horror movie. It's scored like a horror movie. It's basically done like a horror movie. The humorous elements come out of, the dry one-liners from Bill Murray, the interaction between the characters, the how they react to the realistic ghosts.
How real people react to unusual and wacky situations.
Yeah. And then when you get to the second film, it's shot like a comedy.
I think that's like where kind of is not as good as the first one. Yeah.
All the ghosts are none of them are scary outside of Vigo and a sort of Janosch. And they're all pretty much played like the cartoon, and it's all very kiddie oriented. And it's very flat shots, and it's not, because the first film is very dark. Like there's not much shot during the day and the daylight, mostly just the beginning of the film. And then once you get to the Ghostbuster stuff, most of that shit's nighttime shots. If you really pay attention, like they don't really like go out during the day all that much. And in the third or second film, they're out all the time in the daytime. But the third film, I think it recaptured that perfect balance. There's a few quibbles I have with a few minor things here and there. The pacing, I think, was off because it's if anything, it didn't allow it to breathe too much. There's some stuff there's this midsection bit that happens that just seems too convenient for 2 or 3 things to happen real quick in succession. But overlooking little things like that is minimal in comparison to a lot of the other problems we've had with films lately. Like this, to me, is the kind of movie we used to get back in the day, and that's what I loved. I felt like I went to a good movie. I had a great time. I had a great experience. Sure, it's not a 10 out of 10. But that's what I'd rate the experience.
It was fun.
But the movie itself,
I didn't walk out hating it.
I loved it. I mean, I didn't get pushed to tears like some people did in the crowd, but there was some people who clearly were moved by this, and I could see why. I mean, there's so many elements to this, and that's where that one who said it was soulless, I'm like, who the hell are you?
For people,
what is your definition of soul at that point? Because at that point, what movie in the modern era has soul for you? Because
I think
they're few and far between.
I don't think he knows what it means. He's misusing it. But Tom, earlier I was saying that I like that it was set in Oklahoma, even though it was Oklahoma, but in that rural area with a small town, because no cell phones, you had the El Camino, the old truck, had like a real throwback feel to the.
And they do a good job of explaining why the cell phones don't work all that well. I mean, they do a pretty good job of setting everything up.
Right.
I like that Egon was regarded as kind of the weird village kook. Yeah. that was cool. Especially being, I'm in a very rural part of Pennsylvania personally, so I think I might be the weird village kook, if anything.
So the beauty of it is you can tell
the weird village kook.
Yeah, you are.
What are you talking about?
But you can tell like Jason grew up watching these movies, right? Because you get a little bit of Karate Kid here. You get obviously the original Ghostbusters, as we know. But like beyond that, you get like a little bit of the Karate Kid here with the mom, the single mom moving to a new town, all that kind of business. Mm-hmm. You get a little Doc Brown business with Spangler, not to get into too much, but like you get all these little elements in the Goonies a little bit too, like things that we love out of the 80s. But it was kind of mixed up really well here. It worked within the universe. I think Jason made sure that he consulted Dan quite a bit on how the equipment works, what everything does. I mean, they did a really great job, I think, of making sure all of that was in line. And not only that, what new things they added didn't break lore like in certain other franchises. And I mean, there is no comparison to this in something like The Force Awakens. This did everything right. This is more in line with Cobra Kai. It is the exact like even people like there's elements to this that make it feel and It's a Ghostbuster movie, but it's definitely not a retread of the original film in any way, shape, or form. Right? It's not like the second movie where they're going out of their way to give us moments just like the first movie.
And some of that is
very
coming out
similar
after
beats, though.
Ghostbusters
It has some
2016
similar,
and
but
giving
not
a
the
good
same.
comparison for it.
I wish we were talking spoilers, Tom. I would love to push back on that because I do think there was more. And what I said,
there's a lot of similarities with the beats, but the thing is, a good movie can do that because there is a formula to the movie, right? And the movie does it right. It does it in a way that it's like, I recognize this, but I'm fine with it.
And here's my point. I wish I could get into spoilers because there's a perfect example of what I'm getting at. There is a scene where something happens and you're expecting the perfect joke line to come up, but it doesn't happen, right? That's a perfect example of how this does it. It gives you just the right amount without overdoing it.
Well, my issue is that there's areas of this movie could have gone and explored a little more.
They could have.
That they didn't. And that's the thing. It's like you had the setup for it and you literally had the character for it. Right. But you didn't go into detail like you should have.
The other thing,
I wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't have minded a couple of those like Ray and Egon moments, like when they're in the first movie when they're in the prison cell and they're talking about how the building was constructed by Ivo Shandor. I wouldn't have minded a couple of moments like that where it's just supernatural geek talk, but. Then again, maybe that's just me.
You have a problem though. Like this is the longest Ghostbusters movie if you don't count 2016. And I feel like, and I feel like
nuke it from orbit, kill it with fire, put it in the trap, and never open it again.
20 minutes longer than the first two, and I feel like there's a good 40 minutes left on the cutting room floor.
Well, that's what Culture was saying.
Yeah,
I felt the same way.
And again,
I could have done with 20 more minutes at the end, though. They should have been my thing.
They could have padded it out at least a good 10, 15 more minutes and compromised. Because I feel like there's like Jason had so many ideas that he probably did so much stuff yourself. For a lot of those setups you're talking about, they were probably there. He had something similar to what you had in mind. But I'm feeling like there's a lot of this movie that just got left on the cutting room floor because once you get to that midsection when it leads into that third act, it does not fucking stop.
And maybe it was Sony going, "Oh God, last time we tried this and went the whole hog, it blew up in our face." So maybe we need to be more cautious.
Probably too. He is somebody who notoriously does not like long movies because they don't get as many showings. He came in and he supposedly butchered Venom down to less than 90 minutes.
Oh God.
Like, that's the whole thing. Like, he is one of those guys who hates long movies. So I would not be surprised if he got extreme pressure from the studio and compromised with 2 hours and 4 minutes because this movie uses just about every bit of real estate it has. And I agree, there's so much you could have explored here and so much more that.
And maybe in a sequel we'll get more.
I hope so. I do. I really do.
And crossing his fingers.
And I want to say hello to Nick Weiser.
I was gonna say, let's welcome Nick Weiser and get to some super chats. What's up, Nick Weiser?
What's up, guys? I
didn't recognize you without the handlebars.
That's what I was telling him earlier. Last week, he shaved them. I thought they were coming back.
I noticed that. Yeah.
What happened was, well, thank you, man. Thank you for recognizing me.
You're more than just a handlebar mustache to me.
I'm your Huckleberry.
That's right.
Mads is wanting a mustache ride.
I'm not against it. I'm not saying I'm not into it.
Just embrace it, man. Just embrace it. You'll
embrace what?
Man. Exactly.
I'm happy with.
Embrace the Hurt Locker.
you always take things too far, George.
All right, J.A.F.O for $4.99. How about a whiskey glass rating? The more you have to drink for the film to be enjoyable. So a single glass film is better than fourth glass film.
Not a bad way to look at it if you're a drinker. I'm not bad, drinker, but I like
this is about a shot and a half movie for me.
That's like something the critical drinker should use as a rating system.
Yeah, he really should. Toximate for $5. I have never missed one. Dad, my needs. What?
My dad needs stints today.
Oh, my dad needs stints today. Oh, wow, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. And I'm running a fever. Shit, dude. But I can still super chat that Mad is on fire.
That's right. Well, hopefully things go better for you, Toxic Man Flu. Holy shit.
Yeah, I guess everybody's having a kind of shitty day today. God damn.
No kidding.
My day started out
yeah,
horrible,
I mean,
but thankfully the movie was great, so it ended.
I know that was exactly the intro I gave. Was like I didn't sleep very well last night. My air fryer didn't work today, so it was just like, At least the movie was good.
Toxic Man Flu for $5. I'm from Oklahoma, Mad, and I'm offended. But we Okies will always be on top of you Texans.
That's fine. Texas has always been a power bottom.
You need to understand that Oklahoma is Texas's hat.
Yeah, there you go.
Oklahoma.
Here we come. Oklahoma. Here we come.
So now that we have 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser, what are your thoughts of the movie?
I enjoyed it. My favorite. How much can we say?
No,
we're doing spoiler free.
When are we going to talk about it with spoilers? It's hard to talk about it with them.
All right, for spoiler free, I enjoyed it. Obviously, there was a lot of fan service, obviously, but I think what I liked about the fan service is that it weaved into the story nicely. So obviously, there's a lot of hey, remember this, but I feel like those moments need to lead to it to get to the next point in the story. So. Yeah, I enjoyed it. God, it's hard to say things without saying things. I'm not good at
It's
this.
very hard. I know. I want to talk about stuff too, but we can't. Apparently, another monster is very distraught that you shaved your sideburns.
Don't worry, they'll be back. What happened was I had the lining of it was starting to get very uneven, and I was trying to even it back up when I was trimming,
and it led to one thing and another, and then all of a sudden, you have no facial hair. Yeah.
The thing is, it was already what I noticed as I was trimming. I noticed as it was getting shorter, I noticed that the lining of it was getting really bad. I'm like, the only way this is going to get fixed is if I just do a deep trim. So, cowabunga it was.
Sometimes you have to do that. And we lost Dalton.
Dalton just checked out. He yeeted himself.
He'll be back.
I can't stress enough how well Reitman did with the nostalgia. That impressed the hell out of me because movies usually.
Well, I would say that's the thing. Is a lot of people want to say it's nostalgia. I think he's leaning into the mythology, or I won't say the mythology, but he's paying respects to the source material.
Well, that's where I said I think he wrote.
I don't think there's anything. I think it's good. I think he did it well. That's what I'm saying. That's an example of how to do it right. That aspect to me was exactly like Cobra Kai, spiced just perfectly, not too much, not too little.
Well, and
I want to add. I was gonna add something.
No, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I was gonna add because I had read someone on Twitter say that the movie has no thing to make it its own movie from the other two, which I don't necessarily agree. Obviously, there's a lot of fan service, but the kids and the setting and the tonality breathe life into its own story because they're discovering what this past life was, before their time. And I was like, this stuff wholly makes its own story separate from what happened from the other two movies. So I felt like it stood on its own 2 feet. Obviously, you need the fan service to understand it, but as far as the kids and who they are, as characters and what's going on, there's totally a whole added story there. I didn't understand where this movie couldn't survive, being its own story.
Because it was sincere, and they don't understand how sincerity works. They actively resent the concept of treating things as valuable for their own sake and not some kind of utilitarian means to an end.
I love how Larry says, FYI, actually I could highlight it. All of Oklahoma is not rural.
No,
yeah, dude. I know. I've been to Oklahoma.
Tulsa is, as far as a city, rural. Sure, we can call it a city. Anyway, I'm just saying.
No, I mean, I was going to say
it has two malls.
I think Jason really wrote this from the point of view as a fan first, not as his son's father. And I think not just because of the pressure, but he knew that was the best way to approach it. And then not only that, I think he made sure that he didn't go overboard in a lot of ways. And he really tried to pay attention, I think, to a lot of details. And I'm sure he consulted, Dan quite a bit.
And he left it open. So
yeah,
for those of us that do want more, and I'm definitely in that camp. I definitely want, as everyone knows, when it comes to weird, supernatural and Lovecraftian stuff, I say go bonkers with it. But for those of us that are like that, you'll hopefully get 1 or 2 more movies out of it. So yay.
I will say Some of the monsters looked really cool.
And I see some people like doing somewhat spoilers in the chat. That's not cool. Even if you didn't like the movie, it's not real cool. Because it's not even really accurate at the same time.
I know that some people are wanting spoilers, but it was like 2 people. It's like, yeah, we'll keep it spoiler free. But overall, like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. There was definitely I left wanting is kind of the issue with it. But overall, I thought it was a decent film. It was an enjoyable story. I thought the acting was phenomenal, especially when you have kids, man. That kids can be hit or miss when it comes to film.
Yep.
And they fucking nailed it.
Except for the weird looking stranger kid. Yeah.
I think he did. Like I said, my issue with him is the fact that it's not so much him as much as I think that they went with 2 awkward kids rather than having just one of them being awkward. I know one awkward kid, one not awkward and popular is kind of a bit of a cliche, but I think you kind of need that to balance things out a bit.
But on the other hand, a lot of times kids will bond over their awkwardness and their outcastness. So there's that too.
Right.
Well, but I think you kind of saw that with Podcast and Phoebe though.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of a weirdo.
Podcast is my favorite.
Yeah, he was.
I liked him a lot too, man.
He was perfectly charming, but I mean, it's like the whole idea with him running around with the mic, and just randomly interviewing people. That's weird.
Essentially, what you're saying is they needed a Bankman to kind of be the Chad in the room full of nerds, more or less.
Well, you kind of
for the most part,
you kind of get that kind of a mix between the older brother and the Paul Rudd character. Like those two kind of fulfill that role in that dynamic.
I loved just how much Paul Rudd's character geeked out about Ghostbusters stuff. It was like, thank you for literally writing the voice of the fans into the movie. Jason.
Paul Rudd was one of the better parts of the film. Yes, I mean, in a film already full of Grace stuff, but that McKenna Grace, she was amazing. Like she
star making role. Yeah,
like she was great. Yeah. I can't say enough about her.
She deserves the praise that they tried to give what's her name in Stranger Things. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Like, because I thought that her in this movie, I mean, was so from the moment she came on, and especially with it was a joke. That's why
the wink, the awkward wink.
Man, I lost it. It was so good.
She captures, like I said, that Spengler-ness without doing a mimic of Egon, right?
Yeah, that was always Egon's thing. Like when he would genuinely try to be funny, it would fall flatter than
flat.
a flatland pancake.
Well, it's not even just that, but like what's her face from the reboot, like her character she was just trying to basically be Egon.
Holtzman
amped up to 11. Yeah, Holtzman. Like, and it was like
she was the only one in that movie that I liked.
No, I hated that entire fucking movie.
Wait, what movie?
The 2016.
2016.
Why is that being discussed?
I don't even know. I brought it up. That was my.
Because it has not yet been nuked from orbit often enough, and we need to arm the nuke shit again because that movie needs to die.
You know what's funny is the irony of Hollywood and how they treat. I'm not going to say how this is connected, but I'm just going to say Hollywood has a fondness for making their conspiracy theorists right in the movie, but yet in the real world, they love to demonize them. Yep. Have you picked up on that? I've because like between Stranger Things, Godzilla versus Kong, and something else. I'll just say something else. The conspiracy theorists end up being right, like in real life. Sometimes
it's because they don't have any self-awareness. They think that because it's a different conspiracy. Because their preferred conspiracy is a different conspiracy. Because their preferred conspiracy is, Frankfurt School, critical theory, subversion, all that, social justice, all that. Because the subject matter is different, that means that the mentality is different. That means, our conspiracy is a good conspiracy theory because it's the only true one. So thinks every conspiracy theorist ever. The Jewryarchy that the Nazis believed in and the Satanarchy that the Satanic Panickers believed in is totally bunk, but the patriarchy, derp, is just like, none of them are real, you morons.
The patriarchy is a real thing.
Well, the patriarchy is a real thing.
You morons.
Well,
I mean, it is a real set thing. It is a real concept. This is not like
no, but
Well,
what I mean
it's
is
about as real
what
as
I
a
mean in
concept as
terms
a
of the
matriarchy. I mean,
Yeah,
conspiracy
exactly.
being true kind of thing is what I meant. Like,
yeah. But yeah, we don't live in a patriarchy. That's the thing I think is funny.
Right.
Toxic Man Flu for $5. Jesus,
wish we
Mad. I'm from the west side of Tulsa, which is a giant drug den these days. You are batting 1,000 today.
Which I am. I'm perfect on all of my Oklahoma references. Like, you don't think they do you don't think they do meth in like the country towns? Of course they do. Oklahoma's known for it. Tulsa is basically like, look, man, I went to both malls. And I went to the Riverside Casino.
Well, okay then.
Tulsa, that's it. I just named all three things in
your mall
Tulsa.
is at least in the city. Mine is 45 minutes away from me.
Oh, it's not mine. I don't live in Tulsa. My God, are you crazy? Oh,
Mr. Tickle Trunk for 5 Canadian pesos. Whoa, wait. Culture hair is gone. Someone stole Nick Weiser's handlebars from under his nose, and now Tom has a thick goatee. What the F is going on? Let's see that goatee, Tom.
I think he's talking about my new picture.
Okay.
That is Gary Kissel did that art for me. So it's awesome.
Okay, I'm Dan Hans for $5. I'll take it as a win instead of it being trashed as a woke and SJW agenda. It's being talked about like a movie. Yes, it is. Can't wait to see.
It's a clumsy win, but it's a win.
Yeah, I'll definitely put that perspective as well. Yep. Anyway, I guess we've kind of exhausted the
Ghostbusters with non-spoiler review. Yeah.
However, there's some interesting piece of news that I saw today. If I can fucking find it and pull it up real quick. Are
we gonna do a Rittenhouse stream after the verdict comes in? Presumably,
I would like to.
Yeah.
So apparently, Dark Horse is going to be doing Star Wars comics again, which to me is not a surprise. But yes, apparently, new Star Wars all ages line coming from Dark Horse Comics.
I don't like that it's all ages though.
I don't know. Would you consider the other stuff to be all ages? The stuff they were doing beforehand.
Oh, it's been so many years since I read any Dark Horse, but I remember their Star Wars comics, though. I really enjoyed them.
Done an adult Star Wars is inherently a PG-13.
And what's more,
I would always consider to be
comics are all ages unless explicitly specified, in my opinion.
Yes.
Everyone knows that you snuck your first R-rated movie when you were 13, just like everybody else. Let's not beat around this particular bush.
13?
No, I was way younger than that. Are you kidding me?
When they didn't give a shit, right?
Yeah,
they just let you in.
But what I mean is like, so with like the what is the New Age Republic? What is it? The High Republic? Like
Let's Get High Republic, as Gary calls it.
That all felt very generated specifically towards the younger part of the all ages. That's what I mean. Like it like Ghostbusters, like what we were just talking about. Like that felt like something that was for all ages. Does that make sense? Rather than something that's specifically targeted towards the lower.
Because I'm not even sure why it was PG-13, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, so when did they get the rights back to Marvel? Fuck.
For the comics?
For the comics.
2014.
2014? Okay, that sounds about right.
It was around the time they bought it,
their deal ran out. Yeah, I was going to say whenever their deal ran out with whoever after they bought it.
Yeah.
I remember.
So let me get this straight. It's like been 7 years and the rights are already reverting back to fucking Dark Horse.
Well, hey, you see what Marvel Comics is like currently? Comics?
Well, I know. I just think it's funny as hell.
Yeah. Look, they came in, they did what they had to do, and they nailed it. First time go. They don't need a second contract.
This is probably more to do with the fact that this is money coming in as opposed to if Marvel does it, it's still in-house.
Well, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion,
kind of
folks,
showing the diminishing results of Star Wars. But go ahead, comics.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's that. There's obviously the diminishing results of Star Wars, but also it makes me wonder if Disney is planning on canning Marvel Comics as a publisher.
That could very well be as well. And
Yeah.
what would happen then? And that's what we've said all this time. They're just going to license out the characters. Here you go. Here's first step.
Oh no, it's 2015. It says right here in the fucking subtitle. In 2015, Marvel took over publishing Star Wars comics from Dark Horse Comics. Now both will be publishing new adventures throughout the timeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is a sign of abandoning new canon and returning to EU canon.
That's what I was hoping. I'm not going to hold my breath on this.
No, I don't think so.
I would love if they actually let Dark Horse get back to publishing EU stories.
I think it's more to do with just it's a check coming in.
Well, it's also Bob Chapek seems to be wanting to clean house for purely profitability reasons. Because I mean, he dressed down Kevin Feige to his face. He's not shy about admitting that Kathleen Kennedy is on the out. So maybe the lazy
on that
opportunistic Chapek will save us.
Right? Like if that means on the outs, man, I'd love to be on the outs. New contract.
I've just heard that he has been very harsh about basically to all the department heads, even Kevin Feige. When
Dalton's right about that. Like
when Kevin Feige said, "I want to make Riri Williams the new Iron Man,"
somebody should kick him in the balls for that.
Gave him the skeptical Wonka expression of like, really? Sits back in chair with.
Aren't they kind of doing that though?
I mean, they're still going ahead with Armor Wars because obviously they can't really. Now that it's been announced, they can't really undo it. But they're what I'm saying is, before Bob Iger basically let Kevin Feige do whatever he wanted because he was successful, and Bob Chapek, mostly because I think Bob Chapek is too much of an opportunistic grifter to really care one way or the other, seems to be like, no, I'm going to take more power away from you. Now, granted, that might backfire horribly because he used to be the head of the parks, and the parks fell to pieces under the reign of Bob Chapek. So this could be a double-edged sword if ever there was one. But it seems like Bob Chapek wants to keep the department heads under his thumb more, and that includes, raking those that need to be raked over the coals in secret without, losing public face.
I love how Screen Rant says this is an exclusive, but like everybody's fucking breaking this right now.
Well,
Screen Rant is excited to exclusively announce the Star Wars comic universe is expanding once again as the franchise returns to Dark Horse Comics.
Published on every outlet under the sun.
Yeah, I mean, I actually saw it coming from CBR, but I chose this article because, well, it's fucking Screen Rant, so it's got to be retarded. News are coming from all eras of the galaxy, and while titles have not yet been provided, fans have a lot to be excited about. No. Instead of sacrificing beloved stories, fans will be getting a plethora of stories from across the publishing world. Yeah.
My kingdom for EU, my galaxy-wide kingdom for EU, and yes, I saw you, CB79 in the chat. Your lightsaber joke, well played, sir.
Dark Horse Comics began publishing Star Wars comics in 1991. That was actually some really good stuff back then. However, a few years after Walt Disney Company's acquisition of Lucasfilms, Marvel acquired the publishing license for Star Wars comics. This 2014 announcement, which took effect in 2015, took Star Wars comics back home, as Marvel was the first comic publisher for the franchise back in 1977, which is also true. Now Dark Horse will have its own welcoming home, sharing the ability to publish new Star Wars stories alongside Marvel Comics, which IDW formally shared to help kick off the Let's Get High Republic era.
By the way, have you seen some of the new characters that they're getting ready to introduce in the High Republic? The three I saw
care about Star Wars, man. That's why.
One was an old lady. The other one was a black guy who was a cook, and the third was a librarian who always seemed to forget her lightsaber. Those were the three.
Wait, they're doing a
I'm sorry.
librarian that isn't Jocasta new. That's riot worthy. No.
Wait for it. What?
What the fuck?
I'm not kidding. That's how they described her. Was like she's a librarian and she just forgets where her lightsaber is sometimes because she'd rather read books.
Okay, the only librarian that is acceptable within the context of the Star Wars universe, thank you very freaking much, is Jocasta Nu, and I will not hear anything else.
Sure, I mean, if you say it, it must be so.
What? What the fuck?
Sorry, I had to do it again.
She's an awesome side character, and she needs to get more love.
That wasn't too common about the characters. It's just the fucking Star Wars in general. Anyway, Dark Horse Comics, in collaboration with Lucasfilms and Disney Worldwide Publishing, is announcing a new line of all ages comics and graphic novels. This line will expand the Star Wars galaxy beginning in spring of 2022. It will include adventures set in the High Republic, as well as the rise of the First Order. And eras in between. This announcement is rather unexpected, but will likely be highly welcome amongst fans of garbage. Yeah, I was really hoping that this was going to be more EU related. Man,
not. Right, dude. At this rate, with how far they've gone down the drain with this, they're all in on their vision and they're committed to it. And
I know.
It's just, for me, this is the least surprising. I'm actually surprised they expanded to Dark Horse. I'm just.
Well, I think the reason why they expanded to Dark Horse is because the plan is to shut down Marvel at some point.
Which, at the very least, will mean that our characters aren't getting ruined anymore.
Don't be. Let's see first. I mean,
I just realized after I said that. Oh wait, they're still doing Multiverse of Madness, and that looks like an absolute dumpster fire. Why does my favorite character always get the shaft?
That's a good question.
Even Sam Raimi might not be able to save that. So, hey, I'd like to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
I'd love for it to expand into the gothic and supernatural and Lovecraftian aspects of the Marvel universe, of which there's a fuck ton. But apparently, common sense, 1 + 1 = 2 doesn't apply anymore because these people are too stupid to realize. You got the director for Evil Dead, you got a writer for Rick and Morty, you got the composer for Tim Burton. Go basically Lovecraftian or almost Ghostbuster-ish with it. That's how you do a Doctor Strange movie. God dang it.
So these are the new boring characters that are being announced for Let's Get High Republic?
Yeah. I don't want people thinking I'm lying here.
I almost spat out my drink looking at this.
That must be the librarian right there.
Yes, it is. Liza Vought.
Oh my God, yeah. It's an old Twilight woman.
I bet she's amazing at everything she does.
How exciting. What's that? Saggy tits?
Saggy tits. Yeah, I got to come up with fake names for these because they're never going to stick with me otherwise.
This guy just loves cooking. He'd rather cook than fight.
We'll call him
Yancey Sideburns. My God.
No, Middle Michael. He looks like Middle Michael Jackson in the middle of the transition.
Go up and read what they say about the librarian. It's so good, dude.
Whatever her name is a
Lisa
Jedi
Bolt.
archivist of the Jedi Temple on Dalana, a human female in her late 20s, and fully trained Jedi Knight. But adventures, excitement, Jedi craves not these things. She hates fighting. Okay.
So you became a knight and not a counselor because
it is always forgetting her
lightsaber. You're much more likely to find what's her name with a data pad in her hand, which she always carries with her.
Okay, I'm gonna have to geek Spurg on this because this is really, really, really annoying. The knights are the military rank of the Jedi. If you don't like fighting, become a Jedi counselor. That's one of the reasons there's all those different striations of color in lightsabers. The green lightsaber having people are the people who focus more on force abilities than they do on fighting. If you don't like fighting as a Jedi, just become a counselor and focus more on force discipline, you moron.
Dalton, you're missing a key aspect to this. Like, what if some shit goes down in the library? Like, somebody got to be ready.
Yeah.
Well, there's that too, but then again, most of the actually dangerous stuff is in the restricted section anyway. So, which is under the senior council's rules. So
what if somebody
or
doesn't
it was
pay
in
their
the old
late fees?
canon when things made sense.
Okay, so Sagittis is the Jedi Master of the Temple of Dalana, a wizened Twi'lek female. Sagittis is known for her sense of kindness. The people of Dalana are suspicious of Jedi,
especially ones with saggy tits.
Yes. Even so, Sagittis I'm not going to try to say it, does her best to help them. Pronounce saggy tits. Still, other Jedi on the planet don't necessarily share Sagittis' sense of nature.
Sincere. It serene? Serene.
Serene. Yeah. Sorry, serene. Okay. What are we calling this guy?
Oh, what did you say? I forgot what you called him.
Yeah, right.
I called him fancy sideburns, but
fancy sideburns or Middle Michael works for me.
Middle Michael, that's it. Middle Michael is a Jedi Knight in his early 20s, serving under Master Sagittis, a big presence both physically and vocally. The boisterous Sideburns grew up in a Santeca compound, but doesn't know for sure if he relates to the famous family, including some other Sideburns person from the Star Wars Let's Get High Republic. Out of the shadows, nobody fucking read this comic book because nobody cares about Star Wars anymore. Regardless, he does know his way around a kitchen. Let me tell you, when I read a Star Wars comic book, you know what I want to see? Jedi's cooking
or reading or
I want to see the little lightsaber butter knife.
Oh, it has to have one.
and chopping lightsaber.
Yes. Like, think about this. Like, these are the three characters, right? You have the old lady that can barely walk, but not like, I doubt she has like the Yoda thing.
This right here is pure Disney Marvel. Okay,
this is pure soy.
This is pure Disney Marvel because this is what they've done with She-Hulk, where they had a gay guy on YouTube doing a cooking show. It's fucking sitting around tables, eating and talking about feelings. That's what the shit is. This is no different than fucking modern day Marvel.
And as a massive cooking fan, if you're not at least as interesting as Elton Brown or Hannibal in the Mads Mikkelsen Hannibal show, then cooking shouldn't be a subplot in anything ever. No. If you're not at least as interesting as Good Eats by Elton Brown or Mads Mikkelsen's Hannibal.
And here's the funny part is that manga has like manga series dedicated to like cooking, and they're way better than anything coming out of this.
Yes, because they actually understand that regardless of the content, you need to actually like engage with and entertain people and whatnot.
I did not know this before. So it's such a big reveal that food is such a big part of the High Republic. Because cooking and baking helps to both humanize and personalize them.
I'll be honest with you. I like cooking. I like baking too. I could bake a mean cheesecake, but you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to do a YouTube series that involves something exciting like, let's say, swordplay. Like sword fighting, because if I say sword play, that might be interpreted differently, and just have it be about cooking. You know, that's what I want out of Marvel, right? Is I want She-Hulk, who is known for being sexy as hell and beating the crap out of bad guys, watching YouTube cooking shows and talking about feelings.
It reminds me of like it's like they saw the Christmas special, the Star Wars Christmas special. So you know what the best part was?
The whip stir thing.
I think this speaks for itself.
Oh, it really does.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
Oh god, why?
It took me a second to really put all that together.
Oh, how could you not pick it up immediately?
We were talking about Star Wars, so I thought it was kind of apropos or whatever the word might be.
No, that was perfect. Apropos, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So that means in this case, Han Solo would have been the one who had been arrested.
Yes.
I shot that son of a bitch.
I'm less disturbed after
But I didn't shoot first.
Voltaire's Cantina song than I am after that whole exchange.
There.
The Voltaire's Cantina song is fucking funny.
Yes.
It's also about being raped.
What funny?
Voltaire's Star Wars Cantina song.
Oh,
it was me.
It's George, you missed a
Fucking
lot.
funny.
Were you talking about Hurt Locker again? Your favorite film?
No, we had gotten into Star Wars, and there was a meme that made me cringe, and therefore, what immediately popped into my head was I was less disturbed after listening to Voltaire's Cantina song than I was after that meme. Somehow.
What was the meme?
Oh, you gotta pull that back up again.
Sorry,
Tom.
I had to run for a second. Dogs are going crazy.
That's understandable. That's what they do sometimes.
Yeah, but it's the thing is they started construction here a day ago and they left something that keeps banging outside, so they don't know.
The dogs go nuts because dog.
Dogs go nuts because totally understand, man. Just explain to them further and they'll get it.
No, as soon as I petted them and for a few minutes, they're like, cool, no problem. And for some reason, when I pointed my pistol, okay. That's pretty funny.
That son of a bitch shot first.
Okay, so
did you hear that? Oh, are we discussing anything tonight besides the movie?
Yeah, we you missed a complete segment about Star Wars. Yeah, Voltaire is also a musician, not just the with the philosopher.
Not the philosopher. I believe the musician's first name is Arthurio Voltaire.
Yeah, completely different.
Oh, Voltaire. I thought y'all were talking about somebody who's taking a spoof off of the writer and the philosopher Voltaire. I was like,
no. As
Yeah,
interesting as that would be, no, there's also a musician from the 90s and 2000s named Arthurio Voltaire, and he's awesome.
Is he still around?
He made a Star Wars theme song
years ago.
Huh, I'm gonna have to look him up.
He's funny as hell, dude. His songs are fucking great. I don't know when the last time he released an album, but it was at least in the last 10 years, I would say. I haven't kept up with Voltaire.
It can't have been that long ago because I have to say that Beast of Pirates Bay and
that's the one I'm thinking of
were all like recent. So
the Beast of Pirates Bay, like I said, came out in the last 10 years. But I don't remember the exact release date.
We're talking,
but it's definitely not new.
What do you think about, since y'all had that Guido up saying, he shot first? What do y'all think? You think they're coming out with a verdict tomorrow?
I think they're all afraid to.
I don't know. Part of me is like,
it's going to end in a hung jury.
Did you see the judge bust that one reporter?
Yes.
You mean that one network? He banned all of them.
He banned.
Regardless, major cities are going to be on fire in about 2 weeks.
I don't know.
I hope
2 weeks, man. I give it this potentially this weekend.
I don't know, man. I'm really hoping they have some courage and just do what's correct.
Well, I believe it was on this show.
Well, yeah, but if they do what's objectively correct, then cities will be on fire because people have stupid moral frameworks.
Well, this whole thing, I'll tell you. I remember. I think it was on this show here, right here, when I said if they try this shit in Wisconsin,
right,
somebody is gonna get fucking shot. I swear. Does anybody else remember me saying that?
Like,
you did. Before this shit happened, because we don't fuck around here.
Because I didn't know you lived there till you'd said that, so I was like,
so there's 5 guns per person here, man.
My part of Pennsylvania is the same way. Like, good luck. You'd have
talking about there's more guns in this house than there is life forms.
Yeah,
I don't have any, but like most normal people do. Like, I mean, I don't have anything I have to brag about anyway around here. But like, no, like around here, people they don't put up with that kind of shit. And and I said this too, like the whole reason this thing is happening has nothing to do with what really went down. Because if it did, if under normal circumstances in this state, the way they handle this shit, the mother would be getting in trouble, and so would whoever it was that gave him the damn firearm.
It's all political.
Just a kid.
It's the framework. It's the narrative.
You want to know why BLM is there? Because last summer is on trial here. Sadly, not this kid. Last summer is on trial here.
Well, I'm hoping.
Well, what this kid represents is on trial to be probably the most
whole
accurate
thing. Because if this kid gets acquitted, then that means that that makes it okay if these
that means our enemies have some kind of legitimacy, and we can't have our enemies have some kind of legitimacy because that means we might have to extend them human decency every once in a while.
Well, there's that, plus it also opens the door to where, like, I think a lot of these people will be second thinking or have second thoughts about going out and mostly peaceful protesting.
Well, what it always amounts to, and it is what it always amounts to, when you have an aristocracy and you have a peasantry, a lower class, and those two come to cross purposes or disagreements with each other, the aristocracy always gets paranoid. That's why they don't like the peasants having any say.
Right, but the peasants do have a say because we have a Second Amendment. We have the right. I mean, in this time,
but that's what I'm saying.
Like
that's why they don't.
They don't like it.
The more they can act as though their framework is the only true framework, the more they can just pretend all those peasants who disagree with us, well, they're not really valid people, so we can just ignore everything they say.
I think personally, a lot of people focus, especially all the blogs, all the streams, all the news. You know, it's either a former judge talking about the case or the lawyers talking about procedure, the media pushing their agenda. I tend to look at it as this trial has more to do with the core of our country, not even Kyle Rittenhouse. This is about America on trial. Who are we going to be?
So Robert Mobley's asking, are there other ways Kyle could have defended himself? Well,
irrelevant.
It's irrelevant, man. Rosenbaum was
surrounded
reaching
by an
for his
angry
gun.
mob.
Well, he was surrounded by an angry mob, and Rosenbaum literally grabbed his gun.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I say it's irrelevant because that's not part of that has nothing to do.
One of the things that if you go watch today's stream with Ricada Law, because he has I forget the guy's name. I own his book, but he talks about basically self-defense law. And he was on there. He was explaining all this stuff, and it's stuff that should have been brought up during the trial, which the defense did not.
Right. It's worth noting also Kyle had already been struck because somebody tried to weaponize a skateboard.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the first time. That's later. But the whole thing is he had no duty to retreat. The guy ran. You had a guy running after him, and then the guy screamed "fuck you" at him and grabbed his gun. I mean, it's like, what do you do at that point? It doesn't matter if they're unarmed. He is attempting to arm himself.
Yeah, if he did nothing, then Kyle might be dead.
Right.
Well, no, it doesn't matter if
the prosecutor who was telling the jury, like, what should Kyle do? Well, he should just sit there and take a beating.
Well,
I'm like,
you basically had the prosecutor saying that. That's so fucked up.
And let's not forget the old chestnut of, well, you play Call of Duty. That must make you
that's irrelevant as well.
Right?
Yeah, it
is. But they were trying to get a rise out of him. They're trying to see if they could play the gotcha card because they're saying,
they're doing that. They're also falling back in that old trope of that violent video games make you dangerous.
Not even that. His account either was because I'm putting out a video tomorrow morning going over the philosophy of this case, because they mentioned the fact that, and right now I'm just blanking. Either it was Instagram or Twitter or Facebook where he had that funny name, and they're like, did you see it? Where I want to get famous one day, I think was his username. And anyway,
see, also every teenager ever has any sort of social media account,
right? But they didn't even bring up the history. None of the prosecutors brought up the history of any of these defendants, which in one aspect,
they're not on trial. That's
right. No, I know, but in one aspect I understand it because Kyle wouldn't know that, and that wasn't what the issue was. It was talking about his life. But on the other issue, when they're talking, they keep talking about Kyle's character. I'm like, okay, yeah, so bring up their character. You got one pedo over there. You got another one.
But again, the reason why they don't do that is because they're not on trial. Let me get this because I want to get the Mr. Chickle Punk's comment. Yeah. Toxic Man Flu for $5. Dick's Division Ranch money grab number 11. Mad Monaghan's methadone mall madhouse. Come with the family and enjoy Toxic Man Flu's Tulsa meth zombie hunt. Oh God, dude, that's funny. J.A.F.O for $4.99. I don't care what any of you say. Disney Star Wars is amazing. It's like Ipecac for the brain. Take some Disney Star Wars. Boom, brain weight loss. Consume. Absolutely, J.A.F.O, you are spot on with that one.
I can't do brain weight loss routines because I happen to be like using the majority of it at any given time. I know I'm a dangerous throwback like that, but I tend to use the brain I have. Thanks.
And this is the important thing. Mr. TikTok says for 2 Canadian pesos, the second you touch someone's gun, you are armed. And he follows up with, according to U.S. law.
Well, okay, so the point is, like with the whole touching of the gun, it doesn't matter if you're armed or not. It is, do you feel that there is a reasonable threat to your safety and to your life or that you're gonna be killed or serious bodily injury? That's it. All right. Everything else around this, whether the state line bullshit, the who got the gun, all of that is irrelevant when it comes to
this
the
is also
actual
not
act.
true. The aggravator aimed to corner and pick on the small guy.
That's a lie.
That's a complete lie.
That's a literal lie.
There is video footage of him being the aggressor. Right. That is not even close to reality.
And what's more, the thing with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing here is, if he hadn't broken down emotionally, they would have called him a sociopath because he didn't break down emotionally.
Yeah,
but when he did break down emotionally, they're like, "Oh, it's all theater." So essentially, we have a catch-22 situation where no matter what the 17-year-old kid does in reaction to having to shoot 2 people, he is persona non grata because we say so.
I had a conversation with my wife a while back about guns, and we're talking about self-defense, and she's like, I was like, well, then if you're so concerned about being attacked, I was like, get a gun. She's like, I'm afraid someone will take it away. It's like, you don't let them. Yeah. You pull the trigger. That's what you do.
And what's more, if they're struggling to take away your gun, they're not committing other forms of harm on you. Whereas if you don't have a gun, then they can go straight to committing other forms of harm on you.
And for the prosecution to say that because he brought a gun,
right?
He was not entitled to self-defense is such
to a riot where buildings were being burnt down. That's not an unreasonable case to arm yourself for.
He was going around helping people. He had a med pack on his hip. He wasn't
and a fire extinguisher too.
Right. Yeah. Like he wasn't there going, I'm like, to me they keeps painting him as I'm gonna go hunt people down. He wasn't. I want to add Mads a question, especially because he's has been an officer. You've seen these types of cases before, haven't you, where someone protected themselves from
Well, yeah.
Well, how did it usually turn out?
Well, actually, that made me think of one case. No, what happened was we got a call or whatever. We get out there, and it was a family, a wife, a sis. Oh, sorry, all right. So this couple, they're separated, right? They're married, they're separated. The wife goes to stay with her sister and her husband, right? And the husband shows up and tries to grab her or whatever, and the husband, the brother-in-law, beats the crap out of him, right? And so when we get there, the husband's just blood everywhere, right? But what we had was basically what it came down to was, so in protection of his sister-in-law, he engaged with the husband, right? Gets him on the ground. Once the threat is neutralized, he gets up and he's done with it. Okay, that's how we wrote it. Is that how it happened? I don't know. He may have had a few extra shots in there, like what you see in UFC. You know, the guy's out, but they're still going to throw in before he gets pulled off. I'm just saying.
Right. I got you.
But yeah, no. So it but all of that stuff about how he got there and everything else, none of that matters when it comes to actual self-defense or defense of others. Because like I said, this guy, he came to the defense of his sister because she was being harmed, right? And with this case, like all the noise on the outside of it, you know, the line, the guns, what he did, why he was there, none of that matters when it comes to the actual act of self-defense, which is clear. The reason why you're hearing so much about all those things is because it is so obvious. It's such a open, but it doesn't matter. Even if he had the gun illegally, that does not mean he does not have a right to self-defense. Doesn't matter if he was 17, doesn't matter any of that. None of that matters. Those would be separate charges if that was the issue. Right. You don't get rid of self-defense because you have a gun.
Well, there's one thing I want to bring up because this is what the Angry Gamer says. I think that it was self-defense, but he also shouldn't have been there. He's 17. He should have been there. But you know what? Who should have been there? Everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, none of them should have been there.
None of them should have been there. That's the issue.
People forget his dad lives there. Nobody is.
No, we're talking about during the protest. They had basically a curfew. Nobody should have been on the streets, but you had people on the streets.
Yeah,
that means what do you say to the guy?
Yeah,
you shouldn't be there, but neither should anybody else.
Yeah, no BLM, no Antifa, no one. If he
and let's be fair here. Also, the kid brought a fire extinguisher and a med pack. So, if somebody has to be out there because this apocalypse is going down in the neighborhood, then I'd much rather the kid who was smart enough to bring a med pack, a fire extinguisher, and a gun just in case, rather than the guy who's throwing the bricks through the windows and burning things to the ground.
You're right. There was something strange going on in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's back.
See how I tied it all back together with nice little ribbon?
I think, and I'll leave it with that.
Yes, that was a very good call you just made.
What I'll say is, I think, and this is just speculation on my part, I think he took the rifle because he thought there's, if anything goes on, people will see it and leave him alone. That's
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It works just as much as a deterrent as it does self-defense. Like, why do you think we have lights on the car? Why do you think cops will park where you can see them when you're driving down the road? One, they're probably watching Netflix and don't actually want to pull you over. They get I'm not saying that I know things about that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he get the gun from a friend of his? It wasn't even one he had brought with him.
It wasn't his. It was
he paid him to have it and buy it until he was old enough to.
But in any case, it was. Did he actually bring it with him, or did his friend provide it for him?
What do you mean bring it with him?
He basically he brought it with him. I mean, his friend gave it to him because it was kept in a safe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He bought it from a friend because he couldn't buy one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just was confused as to the situation of, did he just bring the fire extinguisher and the med pack, and then his friend gave him a gun?
No. He basically it was his friend bought it because Kyle's not old enough to buy it, but he is old enough to possess it.
In the same way that a lot of 18-year-old parents buy them beer and so on, I would imagine.
Right.
Something like that.
Like, you can drink it with your parents, but you can't go buy it on your own. And
right.
It's funny. It's that I just think that he took it there with him. Again, speculation that he took it there just to make sure that nobody bothered him. Like, look at it, leave me alone.
And I mean, he knew the other thing about the state line argument, which is so stupid, is he literally lives like 20 minutes away from there.
And
he also worked there, and his dad was there.
Yeah, he
Critic 19 says this, which I think is interesting, and I don't know anything about this because I didn't get a chance to watch the whole trial. Critic 19 says he was paid by the car lot owner. Owner testified he didn't, but the owner was full of shit. I know that they said that the owner said that they basically called them and wanted them to be there because you had like plenty of footage of cars being bashed in with baseball bats.
It's still irrelevant to the self-defense. How do you know this?
I missed Critic 19. I missed like the first week. I watched all of this week, or the majority of it.
The owner said that he didn't pay him
everything.
Like, how does what was his name? Critic 19 know that he was paid?
Like, he said he followed up with it. I watched over 120 plus hours every day on Rekieta Law.
Yeah. I didn't. Okay. I don't know.
Like I said, I didn't catch all of Rekieta's streams because I didn't find out until this week that he was. No, not this week. It was I found out last week, like halfway through the week, is when I started watching. So week 1 had already gone by. I mostly watched week 2. Yeah.
I once again constantly bring up these lines and these who got the gun, where it came from. I'm just going to further what Matt said. None of it matters.
No, it doesn't
matter.
It really doesn't.
Like, why are we constultly making about something that isn't? No,
but that's what they're trying to make it about. They're trying to make it out that he's a criminal.
Yeah.
And basically, ultimately, what he was not justified in defending himself is what they're trying to do.
If you want to have a gun trial, have a gun trial. If you want to have a border issue, have a border issue. But in terms of self-defense, this is self-defense and nothing else. It's in the 2 words, self-defense.
Well, law of self-defense. That was the guy that I'm trying to remember. He's awesome, by the way.
Who?
And he was on Rekieta's stream today.
Yes, he was.
Who is it, Comics?
Law of self-defense.
Law of self-defense.
I think I always check out his stuff on his website. Is it
his name Law of self-defense?
Legal insurrection.
Law of Self-Defense is his website.
Okay. You know what was
not
even
legal
amazing?
I can't.
2 hours after the shooting, he went and turned himself in with his mother at his local police station.
Well,
Yeah.
he tried to do it immediately.
He tried to do it
knock him
immediately.
down.
But you know, they pepper sprayed him when he went up to one patrol car. I was researching it because he was trying to get help and tell him what happened. And he knocked on one window after the others because they thought the shooter was still around, not realizing they were talking to him. They're like, go away, go away.
Well, they pepper sprayed him.
They pepper sprayed him. He went up to one patrol car window and they sprayed him, telling him to leave. So that's when he went with his mother back to Antioch, which I had never heard of, Antioch, Illinois.
Yeah.
And
I know that.
Lawofselfdefense.com. Yeah, and I have his book. I haven't read it yet, but
we'll look it up.
yeah.
I'm one
you
hour
should
away
definitely,
from
you should
Kenosha.
definitely buy it.
Legal Insurrection, by the way, is another good site. They do a
I've heard
really
of
good.
that.
They do a really good breakdown of the trial.
But Ricada has been killing it, man.
Oh God, yeah.
It's too busy for me to watch. There's too many people on there.
I like getting their different perspectives.
I do too, and it's cool because they're all letting each other talk too. Obviously, you've had Legal Bias, Law of Self-Defense, Legal Mindset, Viva and Barnes as well. Barnes has brought amazing insight to the table.
Barnes is great.
Barnes is so good. It was awesome to meet him in person, but just to see him now on full display.
It was funny because at the time I had no idea who he was. I was like, "Oh, Barnes is here. Robert Barnes is like, who the fuck is Robert Barnes?"
And
It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
now
I
I
don't
know
know
who this
who
guy
that
is.
Yeah, Barnes is awesome.
I don't watch Rikita's stuff. If I have to watch it, I watch it secondhand because I still haven't forgiven him for how he acted as a debate moderator during the Eglantine EBS scuffle from a couple of years ago. Don't trust the guy as far as I could kick him.
If you say it, it must be so. I have no idea what.
Yeah, I know. I saw the stream between Eglantine and EBS, so I didn't watch it live. I watched it secondhand. But
I just think it's not coming out tomorrow.
I don't think I don't know. We'll see. We shall see what happens.
my
Guys.
I think it'll be a week probably before we actually see the verdict. Probably.
I was
hoping.
what y'all thought. That's why.
I was hoping that it would have come up by this morning, but I checked this morning when I woke up, or this afternoon when I woke up rather, because I didn't wake up until like 11:30, I think. But I checked it and it wasn't there, and I was like, "Oh, I see." And then I read some of the articles, and it's like, "Oh, they're afraid because if they say the thing that is obviously correct, then
I think the reason why the jury is hung currently is because there's people who are afraid of the mob,
as they should be.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the mob is trying to dox a lot of them. So
yeah, and that's the thing too. The mob is trying to dox them, and the quote unquote reporter following the fucking jury bus.
Right. Won't the police protect them after the trial?
For how long?
Well,
and all of their family and their property.
All it takes
MSNBC got kicked out over that.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I didn't know if anybody
no, that's good. No, that's good. But you don't think they should protect them if it's in this?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, it's
a month.
It's impractical to do it.
I mean, and they would have to protect their property, like. Gosh, I don't see the cops doing that. You would have to have some type of people that would volunteer to protect their property.
No,
their lives. Do something like that, isn't it like a federal offense and all that kind of shit, regardless of the situation?
Yeah, it's
like,
not good.
Doesn't that elevate it like much higher than like a civil situation, right? Like, if you go and attack somebody over this, I think you'd be facing some kind of federal crime. Is my point.
This is true too, Mr. Trunk. I didn't catch the entire stream today because of meetings and shit.
I heard about this,
but yeah, apparently the head jury person might be a Karen as well.
Oh,
you have one Karen, and the entire jury gets stuck.
Yeah, it's like the opposite Jack Lemmon.
Oh,
yeah, I was just gonna say that, man.
Perfect.
Reminds me of the Malcolm in the Middle episode where Lois had jury duty, and she was the one who had to keep everyone on task.
I almost went with Pauly Shore in Jury Duty. By the way, that movie was a bad movie, but there's some good moments in there that have like their
every
criticisms.
movie that Pauly Shore was in is a bad movie.
Yeah,
but
you're out
you
mind.
I get where Mad's coming from. Out of all of his movies, that one actually had kind of a clever idea to start with.
Yeah, and there was a lot of
who gets jury duty and decides to prolong it as long as possible, just so he has a place to stay.
What was really impressive, because I watched it not that long ago, like it really had some really interesting and deep criticisms of the way, because this was after the whole OJ thing and and all of that, and like the way the media covers it, like it really hit it. And I was like, oh wow, okay. But what I was gonna say was, like, if I don't want to see the judge wait until the jury, because like there's that thought of like he's waiting to see what they find, and if they find him guilty, then he'd be like, nah, that's bullshit or whatever. I don't want to see that happen, because he's already being painted as a hood wearing Trump ringtone having.
Just be a match on a barrel of oil at that point.
Yeah. So
yeah, I know, but I think part of it, he has a little too much faith in the system.
He does,
and the judge.
Yeah,
he basically he will probably declare a mistrial if they find him guilty, based off of the shit that's been going on with the video, the drone footage. Yeah,
jury tampering, basically.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll be honest. Like that's what I don't understand. Like, it feels like any other time in our history, had somebody pulled the shit they did with that footage, that would have been enough to, exactly, like it's like
more than that.
Stop, timeout. Yeah, the whole thing would have been just like, yeah.
Well, and it goes to show you that the issues right now that we're facing with jury trials is the fact that you're having juries being swayed by, I won't say public opinion, but by public pressure that's going on.
And that's the same thing happened with the Derek Chauvin thing too.
That's what I was leading up to. Is I'm pretty sure that the Chauvin trial, the reason why he was found guilty was because of public pressure.
100%, yes. And it that makes it to where nobody can actually have a
fair trial.
A fair trial, yeah.
So you might as well just take at this point.
Honestly,
you might as well just take a bench trial.
Honestly, I can't even believe that in some cases, unless it's something that's very clearly seen in digital video, how they could even administer that into certain evidences. Because even if you have like 10 fucking filters that a video can go through sometimes, depending on how you're watching it.
Are you saying they can be manipulated?
Yeah, it's not even by like on purpose. Like, here's a prime example. Let's say you hook your laptop up to a big, television screen for the jury to see or whatever. And like the thing is you don't know if they've calibrated that thing correctly. There is 100 different fucking settings on your TV that I will tell people on 4K for you to shut the fuck off, because they're doing nothing but ruining your picture that is presented to you. Because if you have something like smooth motion on and some of these other DNR filters and stuff, it will fill in and take away and do things to the picture and manipulate it in ways that you would not believe. Like, I even showed recently on 4K for you how the digital scrubbing of the recent Lord of the Rings films, they did such a piss poor job on some scenes. Like, Gandalf's staff disappears.
What?
Right? Like, and yeah, like, it's just because the color of it is so close to the background that it just disappeared into the background after the digital. Exactly. Like that.
Okay. Well, I have a few things I want to answer real quick.
Digital manipulation.
Wow.
Ed Brewer saying, why aren't they sequestered? And the easy answer is the O.J. Simpson trial. They've been very gun shy about sequestering juries ever since that one, because it went on for months.
Yeah. Plus that they're sticking it here.
Yeah. The other thing too, the judge can't call a mistrial after the verdict. Would you hear such a thing? Recatus said something about that, and he's an actual lawyer. I have no idea. But basically, he can overturn the ruling.
Here's the thing.
And he basically, I don't remember the term for it, but basically, if they come back as guilty, and he's like, no, this is against what the law has set up, he could basically overturn the verdict. Now, again, I was passively paying attention, and I swear they mentioned something about him basically declaring a mistrial after they came in with the verdict, but I could be wrong on that, dude. Don't quote me on it.
Also, has anyone heard, because someone was talking about it yesterday, where they said that if he's found innocent, that the justice
not guilty. No one's found innocent anymore.
No,
They're found not guilty.
I know, not guilty. Apologies.
It's all right.
If he's found not guilty, that the Justice Department is going to step in and charge him federally.
They could.
True, or is that a rumor?
They could.
They were planning on doing that with the Chauvin trial. I don't know if they could do that with him though. He's not a police
double
officer.
jeopardy. I've never understood. I thought once.
Here's the other thing I don't understand is, even though there's certain, obviously situations where somebody can be tried as an adult, even if they're a minor, like they are so like the fact that nobody is taking into consideration on certain sides of the aisle that this kid is just a fucking kid, right? And yet we have a lot of these same people who are griping about people making fun of Greta and certain other people that are just kids.
That's the hilarious thing of like, as I mentioned earlier, if he didn't blubber and break down, you would have taken that as evidence that he was a murderer sociopath.
Right.
And when he does actually show some human emotion, which, by the way, if a 17-year-old kid has to kill 2 people, I don't care how much of an experienced marksman or an experienced hunter or whatever he is, if a 17-year-old kid has to kill 2 people and he doesn't get emotional about it afterwards at least once, that is more concerning to me than the other way around.
A 17-year-old, anyone. Like, it's not an easy thing to live with.
But
at all.
In particular, a kid who, by all accounts,
but and the judge should have put the smack down a bit more about them fucking with his First Amendment rights and all these.
We need a
Binger will never get his Fifth Amendment rights hired again.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
We need to concede that we're dealing with unreasonable people. We need to concede that because these people are never going to surrender this case. These people, someone needs to put a stop to them because they're never going to say,
the thing too that they're going to do is they're going to fucking bring lawyer sandwiches or a fat lock and basically swear him in and testify under oath about the footage. Right. Because there's a good possibility that he could have tainted that footage.
The
drone footage.
He did.
Yeah.
That's why I have a hard time.
That's his name. I was trying to remember his name.
I have a hard time trusting anything but. Like even video is tough because it's such a low resolution. Film is the only thing that's like true 1-to-1, but at the same time, film is a chemical thing and shit can happen that can fuck up film, right? Like, but if you have something that's on film, I'll believe it. If I can tell that it's not been manipulated in any goddamn way, which is even still pretty difficult nowadays. That's
it's the standard of reasonable doubt. Remember, it's not definitive proof. It's the standard of reasonable doubt.
No, but this whole song and dance at the end there about, we didn't know Fox had this high resolution video and we just assumed they would know that it wasn't the same resolution. It's like, well, you didn't tell them, Einstein.
You're supposed to.
You haven't declared this into evidence.
Give Fatlock credit. I mean, just because he had the software doesn't mean he tampered with it, but it's a good possibility he tampered with it.
Fucking sus that it's sitting right there.
It's awfully fucking sus.
Well, I mean, Binger talks like a avatar of Twitter itself when he goes into certain lines of questioning. So it's like, if there was ever such a thing as an SJW lawyer, I think we found it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh man, Ancient Reapers in the chat beat me to it. I said this to Nina Infinity earlier. I said, what if this is all being dragged out on purpose? So that way when there is a verdict, people are gonna freak out that much hard because they waited so long. It's like, we waited all this time and this is what we got.
A powder keg, yeah.
If they're dragging out for any reason, it's to try to get over the weekend because the weekends are far more likely to have these riots than during the week.
Yep. Because lives and things.
I don't think it matters. I think if they're going to riot, they're going to fucking riot.
I don't know if they're going to though.
But then what are they going to do? Carry it into Thanksgiving?
They got the FBI on their side. What's going to stop them?
The thing is if it happens, it probably won't happen in Kenosha or here. It's going to happen elsewhere. Like again, because it's just in Wisconsin they don't.
No, it'll happen in Kenosha.
It's probably going to happen. It's going to happen all over the nation over, just like the George Floyd riots did.
People sitting on top of buildings with guns. I guarantee
You'll probably see a lot more roof Koreans. That's for sure.
Oh yes,
roof Koreans.
I'm not kidding. Like people don't fuck around here. That's why we don't have a lot of gun problems here, even though there's a lot of guns. Right? Like it's just we live a slower pace. I call it the south of the north for a reason. Right, like it's very much like that. I mean, people don't like. I'm an abnormal person here. I'm a nerd geek. I watch movies and shit. Like I was surprised to see how many people I did tonight at Ghostbusters because I live in an area where most people all they do all the time is fish, hunt, or play bingo when they're over the age of 50. Like they don't do anything else other than go to the casino. Right, like that's what everybody does around here. And drink, yeah, exactly. And that's the only time we ever are allowed to get rowdy is when somebody's getting married or there's beer involved. Like that's it. Like I mean, or sporting events, right? Like that's the only times people in Wisconsin get rowdy.
But that sounds pretty good.
But from a law enforcement like the way I see that, I would rather have open carry than concealed. Because it is far more easier to me to know, to have a better judge of what level I should approach someone if I see that they have a gun.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My uncle is an officer, and he always says the concealed gun is much more deadly. It kills you faster than the open.
Because every or administration of every nation on earth has always understood the notion that a concealed weapon is more dangerous than a open weapon, because open weapons can at least be defended against, whereas concealed weapons, by their very nature, are concealed right up until the point there's a knife in your back.
Yep.
Dude, you guys.
Lisa says Milwaukee is bad,
but it's close enough to Chicago that like.
Well, my cousin, her husband is a former Milwaukee police officer, and he retired. I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and moved to Texas. And so, yeah, he retired for a reason.
Yeah, no, Milwaukee
as did I.
Is a hard ass city, but it's more like it should be an Illinois city, like the way, because like that's what we were having like problems in Madison. It wasn't the local shit; it was shit coming up from Illinois. We were having some gang issues and shit like that. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about, Nick. Yep.
Oh, I know all. Dude, I lived in Chicago. I've heard gunshots at night. I would know. I've lived in the south side of Chicago, lived in the north side. I would know. It gets real up in Chirac. So, and I've had friends' cars where I've gone out of concerts with them, and I've seen their cars gone. I've seen their windows shattered. I've seen all tires taken off the car. I have somehow gotten lucky. Every time I've driven somewhere, I've been okay. I don't know how that happened, because more than 50% of people I know, shit hits the fan. Shit hits the fan. So fucking crazy. Yeah, Chicago's one of the roots of the corruption too. I mean, that shit dates back decades. We're talking back to Mayor Daley.
Put it to you this way: whenever I have to go to Chicago for anything or anywhere close, I don't stay there too goddamn long.
Or you come for the pizza.
Well, it was pretty funny. The few times I had to be in Chicago, because one of the companies I worked for years ago was in Chicago, and it was pretty funny. I was talking to one of the guys, and I never go through the body scanners. I always request a pat down, and I was talking to the guy. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah. So it's like, yeah. So how do you like Chicago? He's like, yeah. There's certain places you don't go.
No, that's true, dude. There are times where I remember when one part of the South Side I drove by, it just looks like a neighborhood of abandoned houses, and then you find out that people live in those houses, even though they all look super abandoned.
I love Greektown.
Greektown's great. Greektown's great. The pizza obviously is good, but it's just like, all right, you come for the pizza, and then you drive the hell out of there.
That's what I usually do when I've been to Chicago. I go to Greektown, then leave.
I'm now, and I live an hour and a half from Chicago now, and I'm about an hour from Kenosha and probably like 40 minutes from Antioch. So you're
close.
I'm not. I'm closest to Tom on this panel.
Oh,
another thing is like Madison is usually like a pretty laid back fucking city.
Yes,
like back when I went there to school, like there was times at night where I would come home on the Beltline past the Capitol all the way down east, and I wouldn't see another single fucking car. Like, you don't see that in a fucking city like that big. But that's just because we are that kind of fucking laid back. Now, the city does bustle most of the time. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking like probably like a Tuesday night at 3 or 4 in the morning, maybe. Like, you get lucky and not see much of anything. But, like, other times, like, it's not that big of a city. I don't remember hearing a lot of gunshots. Like, my cousins told me, stay away from this side of town. You have that kind of shit. But, never do I remember like anywhere near us having like break-ins and all that kind of shit. We didn't have those kind of problems. Very, very rarely. It wasn't like it wasn't like living in a bigger city like Chicago or Milwaukee even, or Detroit or something like that.
Who's going to protect Kyle Rittenhouse if he's found not guilty? That's what I'd like to know.
He already has security now.
But for a few months, because they're going to go after him.
Well, I mean, like you're gonna have to if he can sue some of these media companies.
I remember the Covington kid Nick Sandman gave him the advice to sue a lot of these people, and I have to say I'd advise it just for his own good at this point, because
Yeah,
he's going to need money to hire a security team, basically.
Yeah, they've called him everything from a racist, white supremacist, bloody vigilante to a psychopath.
Thank you, Joe Biden.
Yeah, if they have, I mean, look at what the people of Portland do to Andy No on the regular. How many times has he been in the intensive care unit? So
they graffiti the buildings to kill him.
Can I address?
Let me jump in real quick. Hey, Darth Scipio, I got a video that you need to watch. It's called, and this is being put out by the New York Times. It's called "Liberal Hypocrisy is Fueling America's Inequity," which is absolutely true. All the things that we've talked about is actually being brought up in this video that is put out by the New York Times. So I highly recommend, and I will drop this in the chat for you, so you can go and watch it. That is all. Continue, guys.
I wanted to address him specifically about the whole San Antonio and Leon Valley, because I know some guys from Leon Valley as well. Guy, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where you're getting that information. Look, here's the thing about the whole corruption.
California and basically just like shitting on Texas.
Yeah, well, here's the whole corruption
because people are
thing.
literally shitting in the streets of California. So
right. The thing is though, like you got to understand, like for you to put not only your personal career in danger to do corrupt things, you're also putting your family who relies on you and your paycheck on the line to do what? To sell drugs with the drug deals? Yeah, this isn't Hollywood.
I was like, Hollywood is really giving people this
we got some problems here, but usually the majority of the problems that we have with our police is drinking and driving.
And an individual. There's no like big conspiracy. It's not Beverly Hills Cop where people.
The worst shit we usually have around here with the cops is because they got caught fucking some chick in their fucking squad car.
Oh yeah, that happens. That happens a lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's usually the worst.
As much as a wet blanket as it makes me, I have to dust off my favorite chestnut, Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice what can adequately be explained by incompetence.
Yeah, like just the idea of having this complex like conspiracy theory where the whole department is corrupt and they're all working with Pablo Escobar the fifth, right? There's so many people involved in that conspiracy theory. People talk. I talk too much about a lot of things. Like someone's going to say something. No,
they drink a lot. Oh my God, they share it with everybody.
And
when you start seeing them drive up in a Ferrari and they have a boat, even though this isn't the movies, I mean, people are going to be like, "Hey."
Yeah, and here's the other thing. If your conspiracy theory relies on your enemy acting non-human or inhuman, you're probably wrong, because even your worst enemy is still going to behave like a human, because evolutionary psychology and evolutionary biology exist. We've been the same way since the freaking Stone Age, and we're probably going to be the same way for the next several thousand years at least.
I want to bounce off Dalton's thought. And I said this on Twitter. Like, if you're on the side of people who are rooting for intimidation to get your way in this trial, you're insane if you're calling yourself the good guy. There's something clearly wrong with you.
If you have the person on the ground and you're stomping their head and you're calling yourself a good guy, you're not the good guy.
No, you're the fucking.
If your perspective requires your enemy in question to be a mustache twirling villain that would make Dick Dastardly look tame, then you are a moron, because even your worst enemy, and I would say this to anyone because it's true of every human being, even your worst enemy is still a human. They may be a very, very misguided human. They may be a very broken human. They may have mental issues, but they still fundamentally behave like a human.
All that thing too, he says, look up these videos that they have. He has like 30 videos talk about, dude, you can fucking find corruption with cops in any state, in any city, dude. Fuck what? He has 30 videos talking about this shit. I watch the news on occasion. I see the shit that gets brought up. What I think there's an issue with our sheriff. She's kind of corrupt. I'm not defending that, but at the same time, he's like, you just like shitting on Texas because it's a red state. And also, I like shitting on California because there's already shit there. I mean,
no, here's the thing. Darth, if you're going to constantly throw things for us to look at, we constantly throw things for you to look at. This is a two-way street.
It's a two-way
street. You can't.
I'm not saying Texas is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We have our problems, but but to say that, I mean, I can start pointing out where like little politicians in your state have been arrested for like gun trafficking. There was that one guy a couple of years ago that was arrested. I mean, I could cite plenty of examples of how shitty your state is too.
Just because, like,
as a Californian, it's a shitty state.
You find one or two examples of cops being bad. I'm not saying that they're good. Most of them are assholes. Especially, I mean, I was an asshole. But what I'm saying is, like,
Every
just
time
because
I
you're
got
like
pulled over by the cops, they want to search my car for drugs.
Oh, absolutely. I would search your car immediately. I wouldn't even ask you. Anyway, but what I'm saying is, like, just because, like, you find one or two, like, there's a term, I'm missing it, but whatever. It's like
examples,
sociopath.
Not examples, but antidote. Nope, not antidote.
Anecdotal evidence.
Anecdote.
What comics?
Anecdotal evidence.
Yeah. That does not mean that, oh, Texas cops are the most corrupted.
Yeah.
Why? Because you can pick out some bad cops that did bad things and got caught. By the way,
dude, let's Google California cops and corruption and see what comes up.
Oh my God! Talk about
again,
how many detective squads did they have, which were corrupt as hell?
Those guys were awesome, dude.
Yeah, and back to second verse, same as the first. Corruption is a human failing, not a right wing failing, not a left wing failing. It is a human failing. Period.
Yeah, here's an article right here. I'll share it with you. A massive project sheds lights on California's criminal cops. I'm sure you search any state, you'll find something like that.
Man, I wish that I was a cop in the age of, like, no body cams and nobody had cameras on their phones. You know how much more fun it would be? Oh, what? I chokehold. I didn't give a shit.
You fucking drop kick suspects in the face.
No, I will, dude. Like, no, fuck that. You know what I used to tell guys that were really big? Like, I would always tell them, dude, you're outside of my, range of size that I'm going to get on the ground and wrestle with. I will shoot you. I know it sounds funny the way I'm saying it, but I'm telling you the truth, man. All right. I'm letting you know I will shoot you.
But were you laughing when you said it? No.
No.
Oh, of course. Okay, there you go.
I had my cop face on.
What was that? Let's see it.
No.
Oh my God, Matt, you're killing me.
Oh man, I was a smart ass too as a cop.
The best advice I ever got from my uncle, who's a sheriff, is he said, whenever you're pulled over by an officer, whatever you do, because he goes, understand that every time they walk up to a car, that they take a chance that someone could shoot him, someone could hurt him. So he's like, take your left hand, put your ID and your insurance in that, and take your keys out of the car when you used to put them in instead of punching the stupid fucking button, which I hate. He's like, put him in the other hand, put him out. And so it was like 6 months ago, I was pulled over because it was midnight. And I didn't who's going to be out there on the street? I'm just
going to leave this here.
I went to get something to drink. So I put my hands outside of the car and the officer walks up and you can see his body just completely relaxed. He's like,
comics. It's a good thing you use Google for this, because Google hates cops, so this is the perfect thing to use to show for evidence.
George, you know what? This is how I haven't been pulled on forever, but the last time I did, this is what I was on my way to work, right? I was on my way to state. Well, what I do is I roll down all my windows. I turn my interior light on. It was in the evening. I worked the night shift, but I turned on the interior light. I put both hands on the steering wheel with my license and insurance, and I put my head down. And the guy goes up. I was in uniform. He goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know you. I'm not getting shot." He was like, "Whatever."
I did the same thing, man. It's like I always put my key, not my keys, but my wallet and everything, in an area where they can see it. And I have my hands on the steering wheel. I have my dome light on. My windows rolled down. And it was funny because the last time I got pulled over, I guess the guy, the police officer saw that I was doing something, and I had the light on. So he hugged the side of my car with his hand, ready to grab his his firearm. And I had my hands there, and I mean, dude was an asshole too. And I was being as polite as I could with him. Mm-hmm. And but the thing is, if I see a cop and I'm speeding, I'm not gonna slam on my brakes. All right, I'm just I'm gonna get a ticket. And the funny thing is, I was in a slightly rural area, and he's like, "You're driving 45 and a 35, which is a residential area." And it's there's houses, but it's dude, this is not a fucking residential area.
I know
it's basically a farming community.
Well, if it's the traffic section, comics, the white hats. If you see them with a white hat on, you're fucked. you're getting a ticket because that's traffic. That's what they do. They are specifically out there to enforce traffic laws and investigate wrecks or whatever. But those dudes are assholes.
When you're a hammer, everything is a nail.
Yeah, I don't. He was not San Antonio. He was Garden Ridge. And I mean, it's like literally, it's Garden Ridge, right?
Yeah.
They're basically looking for people to pull over. And it was pretty funny. I'm a fucking punk, dude. A bit of a punk when it comes to this shit. Because I went in, I was like, I'm here to pay my speeding tax. And it's funny because the lady looked to be funny. And I put down the ticket. I was like, my speeding tax? She's like, oh.
I'm kind of an asshole too. Like when I would go through like border patrol checkpoints, but like we're in the middle of Texas. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, comics. Oh, yeah. I'd go up. I'm like, I was like, dude, did I take a wrong turn? Am I at the border? They're like, no. I was like, that's a misleading patch you got on there with that border patrol.
Yeah.
Very misleading.
The funny thing is like driving, on 35 going towards the border, and you will see fucking cars pulled over with like 100 cops around them. Yeah, because 35 it leads straight into Mexico.
Yep,
and obviously what's going on is they're smuggling drugs. Yep. And you'll just see them all the time. It is crazy. They will be on the ground in the middle of the grassy medium, and
Well, I can tell you, comics, next time, may you not get pulled over, but it's always worked for me. Stick your hands outside of the car with the keys and the wallet. They just relax instantly.
No, that's a little over much. That's a little over.
I'm cautious.
Overdoing it. In Houston, you're going to get shot.
That's right. In Houston. The thing is I'm so glad I'm not 18 now. When I was 18, I was a cocky shit. Cop would pull over. I'm like, don't you have a donut to eat? And he'd be like, get out of the car. Because I had family members who were in the police. I'm like, just call my uncle up. Just leave me alone. I mean, I was just, and my uncle's like, I'm going to kick the shit out of you, which I rightly deserved.
I'll tell you what
that was how George wound up in Shawshank for 10 years.
I'll tell you what my statement would say after you said some shit like that was, using the open palm of my hand, I tapped the side of his face to regain his concentration and his attention. I would smack the shit out of you. Look, you can get away with anything if you know how to articulate that shit in a statement.
Yeah, he used to tell me they used to do something in the old days here called waffling. He's laughing. He knows.
Look, man. Whenever we would have to slam somebody, it's always like you would assist. I assisted the individual to the ground using the minimum amount of force necessary to prevent any injury to myself or to the individual. Blah 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 blah. Right? It's always written up like that. What really happened? We picked them the fuck up and slammed them on the ground.
Yeah, he told me in the old days they had the grill in the car, so he goes, that's why they'd slam the brakes and they'd put that waffle imprint on it. The guy would arrive and like, what happened? Well, someone was running right in front of the road. We had to slam on the brakes.
I'm not saying any of that stuff is good, but
he goes,
and let it be known for the record that this is a live stream, so don't say anything too incriminating about yourself.
I'm not a cop anymore. I don't give a shit. I got warrants out in what outside Killeen? Copper's Cove?
Holy shit.
Yeah. I've had him for years though. It was about this cat. The ex-wife and we adopted this cat, and like I was a cat. No, listen, so the cat was a complete asshole. Took after my ex-wife. Complete asshole, right? We ended up letting my dad, because my dad had a ranch at the time, but so we let him have the cat. He loved it. I don't know why. The cat was an asshole, but our neighbor was a vet, so he took it, got the shot, got all the chip, all that bullshit, right? Well, apparently they never got the info that my parents sent the adoption place or whatever. So years later, like 2 or 3 years later, I am at the academy, and I show my ex-wife calls me and goes, "Hey, you have warrants about this cat." I had a warrant for each one of those things, like for the cat not getting the shots, for the chip. It's all city ordinance bullshit. But I had to call my patrol captain and try to explain to him. I'm like, "Hey, sir, I just got to let you know I got warrants." He's like, "Warrants? Warrants for what?" So I explained it to him. He's like, "Man, I don't give a shit about no fucking cat. Just take care of it." But yeah. I've never gone back to
what's the sentence duration? 13 years to 9 lives?
Boo.
What, did she call you to warn you about that warrant?
Well, yeah, because
all the that complete of a bitch.
No, what? Oh, shit.
All right, guys, it's getting close to 1 a.m. Maybe it's time we wrap it up.
Okay.
Right.
We will start with you, Mr. Mad.
Yeah, hey, it's me, Mad. Tomorrow, nope, not tomorrow. Saturday, 3 p.m. We're gonna be doing Central, obviously.
Are
Texas.
you sure?
Yep. We're gonna be doing a special little MB paranormal special thing. It's called Ghost Encounters of the Fifth Kind. It's gonna be improv. It's gonna be roommates living with a ghost and how that works out for them. So it'll be a good time. 3 p.m.
Awesome. Anything else?
No, George ruined it.
Speaking of the guy that ruins everything, not really. How's it going, George?
Thank you very much. Thank you, comics. I always love being here. I have a great time every Monday and Thursday. Love the chat. My best to y'all. Wish you all have a happy weekend. Tomorrow morning, I have a video coming up on Kyle Rittenhouse, my first one.
Ooh, what happened?
Oh yeah, I actually addressed both instances, but Mads, I love Mads. He's great. And the Ghostbusters review is coming out this weekend. So thank you again, comics, Mads, Authenticator, and Tom. Love Tom. Love you all. Have a great weekend.
I love you, George. You have a beautiful soul. I love all of you. Thank you for having me as usual, comics. It's always fun. You can find me in Midnight's Edge.
Man, a few words.
Man, a few words. People know who I am. You could pass.
It's not so much that. I just don't like tooting my own horn like that. No.
I gotcha. Nick Weiser.
Hello, guys. On Toxic Tuesday, we'll be covering Top Gun. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. Top Gun. It's gonna be great. Also, I will be reviewing the new Exodus album that arrives today. So that will be great. Chat's awesome. I can't wait to talk Ghostbusters spoilers. Comics, thanks for letting me come on so late, especially what you guys are on 2 hours already into the show. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right? What about, I couldn't believe that in Ghostbusters. Who'd have thought it was Palpatine all along?
God, I know. God damn it, Tom.
Tom.
It was Palpatine all along.
Seriously, dude.
Palpatine's behind it all.
Oh, I'm coming up to Wisconsin. I'm crossing the state lines now. Fuck this shit.
At least it wasn't Agatha this time.
It's also
Subscribe to Nick Weiser.
Okay. If you're through, hi guys, I am Dalton Mortimer. I am the Authenticator. My channel is called the Authenticator. I am sort of weird professionally. I am the village kook of the internet, basically. I talk about everything from philosophy to art to geek stuff to magic and the occult, especially magic and the occult, to things that kind of cross over with all three. And I do a lot of different shows on a lot of different other people's channels all of these are kept in playlists on my channel. So even if you just want to find your way over to my channel to look at the stuff I've done elsewhere, you can do that. I also now do song covers because I found that I have massive insomnia issues, and when I have massive insomnia, I can't do a full video, but I can still do song covers. So if me doing song covers is your forte, that is also something you can find there. Every Sunday, I do a show called Podcast of the Storm with my friend, the Brainstormer Pop Culture. We talk about geek shit and politics and news and everything else. And on a bi-weekly basis, and this is particularly relevant given that it is now November the 19th. Happy International Men's Day, everyone. I do a show with...
You mean that day everyone forgets?
Huh?
You mean that day everybody forgets?
Yes, but if you find your way over to my show that I share with Mr. E2099 called The Duality of Man, you won't forget because we cover men's issues and men's rights and things.
Okay.
And everything else you can find on my channel, which includes guest appearances like this in the guest appearances and crossover playlist. So please do find your way over to my channel and follow me on Twitter at The Authenticator, spelled without a U because Twitter is stupid and won't give me enough characters. Other than that, I will be lurking where you won't expect to see me because that's what I do. And cheers, guys.
All right, folks. Wow, I am exactly 13 subs away from hitting 8,000 subscribers.
We gotta have a celebration.
We're almost there, Comics. You and I co-hosting this son bitch.
Hey, comics. We have to do a review of Hurt Locker next week.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. We'll make sure to invite Mad.
I will do a review on it. Yeah, I hate the fucking.
You love
anyway,
it.
folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. For those of you who super chatted, I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. For those who recently subscribed, thank you very much. And again, you can catch me tomorrow night on Friday Night Tights, and then on Monday with Yelling at Parks Cars, and of course every Thursday with Thursday Night Throwdown. Which, if you're watching this and don't know it's called that, I don't know what to tell you. Other than good night, folks.
Go home.
Go home.
Now.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
You're drunk.
Am I coming on Friday Night Tights with you?
Do not.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koala.
Only because I haven't played that in a while. Good night, folks.
I missed the koala.
Yeah, I need to weave it into the actual outro. Anyway,
here we go. OBS, we could both be in your screen on Friday.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. A huge thanks to all the Subscribe Star supporters. Without you, Comics Division would probably be crying in a corner somewhere. The big spenders: Roger the Shrubber, Toxic Manflu, and HMStix. I'm a sucker with a lot of dough, David Blair. Take my money, damn it. LDH 27513. Dexidoodle, J.A.F.O, subscriber number 22F2C6C3, and that 70s rock fan. I'll buy that for $1. Colin D, Mech AG94, Jenna Lyn, DiabloDame, John B, user C2B7C4F4, and Stand 4. Thank you all for your support. You are awesome.